Alan, thank you so much for igniting the fire in all of us. And over to you. Flowers to all you ladies.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana. Hi, everyone. Just again, and you can do it with a lot of swag and energy. Oh my God, please mute yourselves. So it was so good to go through that. That was quite lengthy, but we felt we had to hear your voices and know who is in the room. Because for so long our voices have been silenced, we didn't want to be another pain. You come here into the meeting and you're silenced. So it's so good to hear your voices and to see your faces. So I'll just do it again and greet you. This is how we greet in Girls for Girls, and you can use swag. We do it because we interact with young women and we cannot go with a strong professorial look. So we try to make ourselves adaptable to them. So it's like, hi, or you can do it with Diana's energy. Hi, hi, hi. So it's like you're sending out positive energy. So happy to see you and really excited. Your expectations, I hope we can meet them. Everyone wants to know about this Girls for Girls, about what are we doing. And I'll ask Patricia to just put up there's a poem we normally use, My Sister's Keeper, that I'll use to introduce us as we set off. Patricia, and then we'll read it together. So you'll unmute and we'll read it together. So first of all, I'm really excited to have all of you here. And I know some of you say, but I'm an old girl, I'm a young girl. We are all girls. And I think what brings us together is the fact that we love women and we want to make a contribution and an impact on others. Patricia, are you sharing the document?
I'll share in a few.
Okay.
I have it. Should I share it?
Please share it. I just want the poem and the expectations.
Here we go.
Okay. So ladies, I'll ask you to unmute and we'll read this poem together. So many times they tell us that women pull each other down. You've heard of the PhD, and yet I believe if you've woken up on this Saturday morning to come here, you're not one of those. You're one of those who really wants to support another woman, and we want to break those biases and those myths that they used to keep us apart. So can we start on the 1, 2, 3? I am my sister's keeper.
I will build my sister up,
encourage her,
empower her, and pray for her.
I have no reason to talk about her, tear her down,
be jealous of her,
to compete with her. Good to stand
behind her and help her push her to her destiny. Hey. Thank you so much. So this is our ethos, why we do Girls for Girls, why we have a strong belief in the power of women to support each woman, because for a long time we have been put apart by those biases and misconceptions. All women don't support each other. All sisters, when they climb, they don't help. And most times when women get there, we know it's because of the circumstances that have taken them there, that you stop wanting to trust and you sort of push others. But Girls for Girls is really about holding our sisters. And across the aisle, if you're just imagining you're with another woman, just reach out and hold another lady. That's what we do. We are there to support a sister. And so that's how Girls for Girls came into being. So I'll just give a brief background to Girls for Girls, what we do, and then I'll go straight into the expectations or objectives of the training. So Girls for Girls was launched sometime back in 2017. Around 2016, I left Uganda and went to school. I had so many questions. I'd done so many things. I'd been the chairperson of the women lawyers in Uganda, and anyone who has heard of the FIDA Association, women lawyers, we are strong, we fight. I led protests on the streets for women, because women were being battered, access to land rights, access to domestic violence. You would report cases are not handled. I had so much pain and anger, and I kept feeling not much was being done for women. But I was also doing a lot of work in my professional field. I'm a lawyer by training, and I've done a lot of work in the trade reforms in the region, in Africa and in East Africa. And so I had so many questions buzzing in my head. What can I do? Should I run for office? That's the age at which women start saying, another post start saying, should I run for office? So I decided to take off time, and I went to Harvard to study and to reflect. I sold land, I did everything. I said, I'm going to go and get this, and also validate myself. And so at the ripe age of 42, I will find myself at Harvard, and I know my friend and sister Taka also studied at Harvard. And so I went there, I met a number of friends, and we you know, you all have questions. Everyone feels they have done the best in their world, but they're saying, what more can I do? And you're questioning what the next steps. And I know some of you are in that space. What can I do? How can I support? It's not enough to have so many handbags or so many shoes or so many this. You've reached a point in your life you want to do more, but often it's how, where, what. And so while at Harvard, I took a course called From Harvard to the Oval Office. It was an amazing course, and it was an amazing time when Hillary Clinton was running for office against the very famous Donald Trump, who wants us to inject ourselves with disinfectant. Don't do that, please. It won't cure COVID. And so Hillary was running for office and was doing this course about getting women into office, because so many times we work with women, we help women, but until we have power, and the power lies in both position of power, when you're in control of resources, but also that capacity to make decisions and make changes. And so we started questioning and saying, how do we get into power? And of course I was saying, should I run for a member of parliament? But I kept feeling that may not be my calling. Anyway, the course on Harvard to Oval Office helps us to think through some of those things. And during that same time, we're also campaigning for Hillary Clinton. That's my picture. We're campaigning for Hillary Clinton, who was running for office. And it was such a tough time trying to convince old white men in Boston suburbs why they should vote for a woman. And oftentimes they had no reason other than the emails, or just because she was a woman. And it was such a sad day when she lost. We cried so much, we were so angry. But then this group of ladies that you're seeing on there, those were my friends. We all came from different parts of the world. We're all part of that Harvard Office program, which is a select group of women that are selected to really study politics and understand running for office. We decided to set up this, we put our anger into action. We decided to set up this Girls for Girls, really to see how we can go back home and support girls to run for office. At that time, we were primarily looking at running as being the getting women into political office, because we recognized that there were no women in office. So 8 of us, I think, and you can read about them in the packs you have and online, we came together, set up this organization. We didn't even know how we were going to do it, but we were all driven by one thing. We wanted to make a difference. We did not want to see another Hillary suffer, like a woman suffer because she is a woman. We wanted to see how we could get women into positions. And we quickly realized, to the next slide, sorry, to the next one, just keep on with the slides. I'll use the slides. We quickly realized that the way we could do it was play our part. How many people can afford to get into these schools or into these spaces? We realized, Rita, please put up for me the slides. Sorry.
I don't have.
We realized that the role that we could play was to use the lessons and energy we had gotten to start in our own spaces. Just go back home and don't die with that knowledge that we have gotten from Harvard, but go and see how we can impact, other girls. Now, whilst you're at Harvard, there are so many courses that are taught, and I don't want to put Harvard as out there. It's an establishment, it has its weaknesses, it has its challenges, but one of the positives about it is that the professors there have spent time studying about leadership. And so many courses that they select, when you have a choice, you're at the business school, at the Harvard school, Kennedy School, the MIT, you can study from any of those schools, the Fletcher School, and you're lost for choice. But amongst us, those women that you've seen, we identified courses that touched us. Courses where we went in and we came out and kept saying, there's something here. There are some courses you would do about leadership where the professor had researched about leadership. And so we quickly came together and started putting these courses together. We said, why don't we talk to the professors and see if they can help us to come up with a program that can go out and we impact other girls the way we have been impacted. Because the most important thing in there was really learning those frameworks and principles. And so together with some of the professors, they agreed, and knowing how it's such an establishment, everything is so secretive and locked in there, they agreed to share with us some of their frameworks, and that's how Girls for Girls was born. And so we came up with the theory of change, which I've talked about, the recognition. All of us came from different parts of the world. We recognized that the women were being held back by so much, especially the capacity to lead. They did not have, we do so much for us as women, but that nurturing environment to get us into positions, whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's in the CEO suite, C-suite, whether it's in business, you're the MD, whether it's in the private sector, getting into managerial, there are so many things that hinder us. And one of the things we recognize is we can build confidence. We recognize that we cannot come out to teach, we cannot set up a teaching establishment, but we can share our stories and we can share our experiences, and we can help other women to build confidence. So the mission of Girls for Girls, as it was born then, I'm trying to do the slides. The mission is for us to develop the courage, the vision, and the skills. And I want you to get that. You're not a teacher, and Stella will go into depth in this. We wanted to support women by developing the courage, the vision, and the skills, because we saw how our own courage had been built by learning some of the frameworks and even just the network. Those women have shown you have become more than sisters to me. We recognize many times we are separated, but if you're working with others, you're able to get that courage to do something that you've always wanted to do. And so we got that courage and recognize that we should work with others. Now, I'll go to the targets. There was a big discussion we had around who is a young girl? Who are we going to target? Should we target youth? Now the Americans, sorry, the next page, for the Americans, youth is up to 25. But we kept telling them in Africa, youth is up to 45. 40, even at 40, I'm now still a youth. So there was a big discourse, but we settled on young women between 15 and 25. So young women in schools, in universities, out of communities. And then we also said, but there is also that age group that is so much at risk. Young women between 25 to 35, you're struggling with your children, you're struggling with your career, you're struggling everywhere, and you don't feel like you have a helping hand. And there are not many programs that reach those women. So we agreed that we would work with women both in school, out of schools, with corporates, within those age groups. And our vision is twofold. We are saying, every time you ask a woman, you talk to the girl next to you, and I am glad that we have some of the mentors who have finished. The young mentees are on this meeting today. I'm so excited. I've seen Samantha from Zimbabwe, and I've seen Melanie from Makerere University Business School. Every time you put out a survey and you ask girls, what are your dreams? Every girl has a dream. Even you sisters, all of you 67 have a dream. Everyone on this group has a dream. You might be 50, you might be 60, you might be 25, you may be 30. We still have a dream. We have an aspiration. You keep saying, I want to do this. If only COVID wasn't here, I will do this. But we also have fears. The next question we ask the girls, but what are your fears or roadblocks? Do you have any? And always it is yes. Now, most times we think it's money. Sisters, it's not money. Many of the girls are challenged by the confidence. Sorry, I need the page on the targets. They fear to be laughed at, because someone will say, oh, I want to start a salon. My dream is to start a salon. I fear to start. I fear to be laughed at. I fear to fail. The fear of failure holds back so many girls. I fear people will not understand me, or my parents don't want me to do this. So people are held back by fears. You find a 44-year-old woman and she's telling you, I am still scared to step out. And so that's why we start with that poem of holding a sister's hand, because every time you then ask them, the next question is, who is your role model? The girls often don't know. Do you know who the role models are for our women sisters? Beyonce, Michelle Obama. Where are they? They're in America. They can never touch them. And yes, amongst us are all of you. There's Rita, there's Diana, there's Stella, there's Florence, there's Annette, there's Angie. We are all here. We have amazing stories, but girls never get to hear these stories, because what does our culture teach us? Do not speak out your things. Do not tell your story. So what they will see about Allen or what they will see about Shining Stella is the glossy image on social media. They do not know that Stella has issues and has where she has gotten through a lot, mountains, valleys, but she's where she is because of all that package. And so we recognize that if we as professional women could come together and support these young women by sharing our stories, we'll be able to give them the confidence, because they will know that, oh my God, Allen has had to go through this. Allen has gone through this challenge. At 32, I separated and lost everything, everything, my relationship, and I had 2 children, remember, under 2 years. They were both under 3 years at that point. And I was a 32-year-old girl. But they don't know that when they see me as a chief technical officer, managing millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they think, wow. So we want to tell them our stories, not to gloss over them, the pains and the gains. And so our vision is twofold. We want to generate a pipeline of leaders. Never should we hear the question of, they ask Taka, can you nominate 5 women? And she says, oh no, I don't know 5 women who can go to that board position. No, we want to get the women in place that every time they call you, say, no, I have 5. Alan, Tina, who, they're all here. So a pipeline of leaders, we are looking at touching 1 million girls by 2025. The second one is we want to get girls to gain confidence, to take action, to change their lives and impact their communities. This one is critical. It's not about numbers. It's about the courage to take the step. And as we always say in Girls for Girls, do it afraid. Courage with going, you're scared, but you're going to do it. And that one, the gaining of confidence, we have seen girls take confidence. There's a young widow whose story impacted me. She lost her husband, and she's now started a foundation for widows who are young, like young widows, 40 years, 35 years, and other kind. There are so many stories. We have seen young women negotiating for salaries, young women speaking up in the boardroom, young women speaking up in the office, being visible. You can see all the stellars are visible. They have gained most of this from the fact that they recognize that they have it and they can be who they want to be, as long as they have sisters supporting them. So you're going to learn today about Girls for Girls. We do a lot about, Girls for Girls is about mentorship, inspiration, and networking. The way we do the Girls for Girls, our approach, we believe in the village. We do not do one-on-one mentoring. That's a fundamental change, thing different from other mentorship program. We believe in mentoring in circles. So one mentor, we believe that, for instance, if Rita reaches 5 girls and brings them together, those girls already actually have solutions. You're not the shining armor or the knight in shining armor or Jesus Christ coming to save them. They are already in their situations, but they just want someone to listen to them. They want someone to share their story. They want someone to hold their hand. They want someone to give them options. So Stella will talk more about what a mentor is and what our approach is, but we believe in mentoring through circles. Each woman reaching a group of women, of young girls, so 1 woman to a minimum of 5, maximum of 10 in a circle. Just look at your community, those girls in your homes right now in COVID lockdown. There must be girls who are in your homes. There must be girls in the neighborhood. There must be girls in your offices who are lost. They are wondering, what do we do? We have dealt with women who crush stones, women who have not been educated. We have dealt with young girls who have HIV/AIDS, who no one gave a chance. They were born with HIV/AIDS. They are now 25. They want to get married. They want to give birth. No one ever gave them a chance other than giving them ARVs, you know? So we have talked, the frameworks work across the board. They work for educated women. They work for non-educated women. But the most important thing, we have brought together a group of professional women. We cut across circles. We cut across sectors. We cut across industries. If you look at all the women today here, if they read their CVs, you would run away. There are women who are powerful in their space, but most times we are lonely. And so Girls for Girls has given us that opportunity to have a village. So whatever you do, remember Girls for Girls. We are creating a pipeline of 1 million girls globally. We are now in 16 countries around the globe. In Africa, we are in 6. In Uganda, Kenya, South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Niger. But some of the countries we are still trying to, like Zimbabwe has really been badly hit. So we are trying to see how we can support them to get back onto the ground. But then also we want to get girls to gain confidence. So let me go to the next slide, sorry, and I'll soon close off. Sorry. The next slide. Okay, sorry. I think I'll just close off on the space that this mentorship, inspiration, and network and learning, the mentorship is the circles. And you can, if you go, for instance, like to the school we started it in Bugonga, you will have maybe 10 circles because you're dealing with girls, but you can also start your own circle in your own office. So it works in so many ways. You can have a cohort, which is made up of many circles in the same school or the same institution or the same company, or you can have a small circle for yourself. So like Maggie who spoke, she started a cohort for medical students at the medical university, Makerere, around 70, but 50 active medical students. So that is a cohort. But Maggie could also start a circle of 5 girls to 10 girls sitting together, which is what Florence has done in her home. Then we inspire. We often get guest speakers to inspire with their stories. We often tell our guest speakers, please do not share big things. We don't want the 7 habits of this or the 7 what. We want your story. How have you gotten where you are? And the inspiration also comes from the frameworks that the professors at Harvard have provided. I want to make a point there. We do not have African narratives for many things. And that's why I'm so excited when I see people like Dr. Matete and Priscilla. And in Zambia, we have professors of the University of Zambia. They are strong women who have studied, who are very educated, and I mean, they're professors. We want to see how we can create our own African narrative. I want to know how Winnie Mandela was his leadership style. I would want to know Allen Asimwe's leadership style. I would want to know Taka Awori's leadership style. I would want to know Rita Mortana's leadership style. Can we have African stories? Can we have African theories? Can we have African frameworks? Can we understand what leadership means in the context of our African setting? So that when you're in the boardroom screaming with those men sitting right next to you and you're trying to get your point across, as an African woman, we are able to see how we can do it better. So we are going to also work with academic share to try and come up with our own frameworks. So that is Girls for Girls in a nutshell. It's really about you women, and I'm calling out to you, my sisters. Just go out and touch girls. They need us. They need us. They are waiting. Imagine if you're scared now in COVID. Imagine that 32-year-old girl. Imagine that 25-year-old. Imagine that 15-year-old. I have a 16-year-old daughter. She's in her room now. She's scared. What is going to happen to my future? What's happening to my life? If we just sat and shared our own fears and together, we see how we can go through this, the world would be a better place. I love you. I've spoken so much about this, but so we'll go into the modules. I don't know if I should take you briefly through the modules or if it's Stella. Maybe, no, Rita, let me take you briefly through there are 6 modules and I won't go into depth because that's what we are going to study. Can I go to the slide for the modules, please? So I told you about talking to professors, and we narrowed down from over 1,000 courses and came down with 6 that we thought touched us, 5. But the first session we start with is, we'll introduce the leaders, I think, after I finish. Sorry, go to the one before. We start with building trust, and Stella will take us through building trust. We then go through, because you cannot mentor if the girl does not trust you. If the person does not trust you, you're not able to mentor. You have to build a relationship. We then go into courageous leadership, not the leadership as we know it in the world, but leadership as we as women want to see, the soft leadership, the Jacinda Ardern leadership, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. If you see the leaders who have made a difference in this COVID era, all of them are women. So we want to see what kind of traits we should bring to the table. What kind of leadership, courageous leadership, and how do we become courageous leaders? We then have art of communication. Most times our voices are silenced. We want to hear women's voices ringing across Africa, ringing across the world. We know we have so much to say. We have to see how to get those voices out. Rita will take us through that. We then have the art of, we then have negotiations. Once you have your voice, how do you negotiate? Not just for yourself, ladies. We are not in these positions for nothing. It's a privilege that we have these positions. Let us use them to speak for others. Don't ever be in a position and you just sit back and think, I've arrived, and you're not thinking about your fellow sisters. Use the space you're in to advocate for others. And then we have public service and running for office. We know we cannot make a difference until we get the numbers in those positions. We have to get women in boardrooms. We have to get women in the C-suite. We have to get women in those professor positions. We have to get women in NGOs. And Angie will take us through that. And then finally, the course that touched me most, I think, at Harvard was about ethics and values in decision making. What is your value system? What ethics govern you when you're taking a decision every day? And most of our girls, unfortunately, because of urbanization and so many other things, our value systems have been eroded. And so how do we support our girls to have strong value systems? Now, many times people ask for more. They ask us to introduce an optional session. And with that, we leave it to you. You might be working in a community where the financial needs are a challenge, or they want to do entrepreneurship. You can add extra sessions. But for us, this is the crux of Girls for Girls, the 6 modules. Without much ado, I know you might have questions. I want to hand it over to Diana. I thank you so much for being very good listeners. You will get an opportunity hopefully to talk and share, but I want to pass it over to Diana, I think, to go into the next sessions. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Alan. Hi, everybody. Guys, I want us to do a stretch, a bit short stretch. Just put your hands above your head. You know, go back, go back. If you're doing this in bed, just continue, you know, lying back and then forward. Yeah. Shake your shoulders. Feeling great?
Yeah.
Rita is in charge. Rita promises there's a break. So just wait for it, you know, just anticipate. Yeah. So my name is Diana again, in case you're just joining us. I'm sitting in Kampala, Uganda, and I'm going to share with you the Uganda story. And the Uganda story is really about the power of one person. And I just want us to post in the chat bar, on a scale of 1 to 5, how powerful do you think you are? On a scale of 1 to 5, post how powerful you think you are. I'm waiting for those chat messages. The chat bar is not pinging. On a scale of 1 to 5, Rita, how powerful do you think you are? Ladies, just put it in the chat bar. Great, great. I like that. I like that. 7, you know, on a scale of 1 to 5, 7. Yes, I like that. I see only 3s up to 5. So thank you. Thank you for sharing, and keep those posts coming. And the truth is that we are powerful. Each one of us has so much power. And the story of G4G Uganda is the story of a lady called Allen, and the power of each one of us has to change our village. Allen went to Harvard, came back and started telling us about Girls for Girls. And you can imagine, for many of us, it was, what is this? I am her sister. I confess that I'm her sister. And I thought it was another feminist rant. And until I went and attended a session, and I was completely turned around. So behind Allen, Patricia, please move the slide. Yes, behind Allen, there's this whole village. There is Stella Kivila, who Allen met at a networking session, professional networking session. There is Winnie, who joined the Girls for Girls team, coming from a corporate background in governance. There's myself. There's Florence. Florence is a friend and a sister, and knew Allen from the time they were 13 years old. Don't ask me how old they are now, because I don't know. But, and then there's Marianne. Marianne joined the Girls for Girls team, having met me at a female training for corporate governance and boards. There's Rita, who was in high school with Allen. I think, again, they met at 13 years old. There's Annette, who met Allen in high school, and Angela, who we've gotten to know through Annette. And what Allen did is she simply came back and took us along with her on her journey. And if you've seen at the bottom of each of those ladies, powerful ladies' pictures, you can see the groups that they've supported in. And these are just a fragment of what you can imagine is happening. Patricia, just go back to the first slide. Thank you. And then the second one, the next one. Thank you, Patricia. Now, I want to tell you that in the middle of setting up Girls for Girls, Allen was working in Egypt. And she then moved to Nairobi. And at some point in her job in Nairobi, she was literally more on the plane than she was in her apartment. But what was happening in the background is her village. These amazing ladies you see were pulling and pushing and making sure that Girls for Girls was getting started and running and thriving. Florence, that beautiful lady on a red stool, started the largest cohort in Namagunga, which was over 100 girls. And then she also started the first corporate cohort. Stella has been amazing in changing the lives of ladies in the science and technology field. Completely, she's done who rolled out the training to the manuals for Girls that are being used in Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa. You know, and Winnie has been supporting and really has pulled together a group of women from different, with no connection, and has been able to build them together. So where am I? Where is Uganda today? Uganda has had over 800 mentees and over 257 mentors. But those numbers cannot speak to that number of lives that have been transformed because this village said, here we are, and we're going to make this work. The stories are so many and phenomenal, but the stories in our lives are also phenomenal because we have been changed, because we have seen so many ladies' lives changed. And in your rating, I've seen people have rated themselves from a 5 to a 3, which is amazing. Each of us has power, and it's up to each of us to step out of our comfort zone, step out of our excuse zone, you know, and say, what am I going to do to contribute to the lives of people around me? Coming for this training is a beginning. Saying yes to the next step will be the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. And I just want to encourage you, as you go through this training, remember the story of a continent being changed, of women in a continent being changed, is a story of one woman saying yes to starting this story. And I really would love the lady who started Bugonga. At some point, I would love for you to share your photo so that we can see you, because she reached out to Alan after Alan posted a Facebook post and said, please, here I am, you can come and mentor the ladies at my school. So the courage that Alan took to post, and the courage that Jennifer took to make a bet on her friend. Every day, people around you are stepping out and trying something new. And today, you responded to a call which people around you have made. You know, some people said Rita, some people said Stella on LinkedIn, some people said, Winnie, Marianne has made me come along on this journey. So the call and the question that I have for you is, who are you going to take along with you on this journey when you know what you know and when you know the power that you have? I can't wait to go through that training with you again, because I'm thinking to myself, how far can I go if I push, or if I actually think of all my networks and reach out to them using social media, which Stella is doing, and talking to them like Rita is doing. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions about Uganda, don't hesitate to reach me or any of the beautiful ladies you see on the screen. Flowers to all of you, and I look forward to the training. Handing over to Annette.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Annette.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for those great introductions from the previous speakers. Yeah, my name is Annette. I'm calling in from Kenya. I'm the country lead for G4G Kenya, and I actually have our structures in G4G Kenya are still being developed. At the moment, I have 4 other ladies. Apart from Angie, I have Betty Kironde, who's on the call, Betty Omoro, Rita Chomkama. They are supporting me in terms of setting up the structures for G4G Kenya. Sorry, I didn't have pictures for the other 3 to be put up, but thank you, ladies, for the support. So we are 5 of us who are trying to get our structures together. But I'll go into how G4G started. G4G Kenya started. Basically, I was one of the mentors. Of course, after Alan told us about the G4G program, I was totally sold in. So I mentored at the Mary Repatriates, the first school where G4G started. I participated in that. And then I had to move to Kenya a few months later, or a year later. And I really wanted to continue mentoring. I wanted to continue the spirit of G4G. I was missing out on the mentoring sessions. So I got the courage. Obviously, I had been sold into those principles that Alan talked about, being a courageous leader. I never was a courageous leader before. Although I was a leader, I was a managing director of a bank. I was a leader professionally, but in terms of personally, I felt I needed more courage. So I took up the courage and reached out to my village, who are all these people I've talked about, Angie, Betty. And then we started, our first session was at Salama Gashie. We went into the community, and it was life-changing for us. Our pilot was at Salama Gashie Community School. This is a school in the Gashie slums, and most of the children there don't go to school. So the school had been started to support the kids in the area. Most of them don't even get a meal a day. So basically, when they come to this school, they come to have their lunch, but also to go to school, and that is the only meal for the day. So when we went there, our first challenge was that how do we transfer these G4G concepts to this environment? But to our surprise, that these G4G concepts are actually transferable. You can use them in the corporate office, but you can also use them in a place like Gashie where we were. And we were able to help the kids understand the principles. They were very bright. They were able to understand the principles, and then started practicing them in their own way. We saw there are a number of stories out of the Gashie community, and what happened is that we were meant to now go back and have a review, but it's on hold because of COVID. So we follow up on how the girls are doing since we started there. But all in all, we had 32 girls graduating by the end of. We had 20 mentors participating, and 86 children were able to come for at least a lesson or two. So we believe that at least we had an impact on their minds in terms of how they think about the decisions they have to make. And just at Salama Gashie, because it was our pilot, we did it through most of 2019. The entire session was supported by the generous mentors that supported all the 6 sessions and made this happen. We also did a lot of training last year in terms of building capacity. So we had several trainings. So this year we started, many of the mentors who had participated in Salama Gashie started now rolling out new cohorts. So this year we have the Tenacious Eagles. These are young university girls, and some of them, it's a mixed cohort, and some of them are into their early careers, and it is ongoing. So we had, when COVID came in now, the girls were very eager to go forward with online. So we had a first dry run for the negotiation session, and I'm happy to say that we are now continuing seamlessly using the online option. We also had the hard cohort, which is being led by Angie. They had also just finished one session when we went into lockdown, and they are also that cohort has also moved forward using the online option. So I want to encourage you that online is really working really well for us in Kenya, and it's not although we miss the physical contact, we are able to discuss and share our stories using the online option. So I encourage all of you who would like to start course, that actually the online option has worked really well, and we currently have 2 sessions that are running using the online option. We do have an upcoming session with education for all children. I would like to recognize Mary Kiguru with this education for all children, because they already have like structures. They have spread throughout the countries. They support bright children by giving them scholarships. So, and they have already been having a different mentoring structure. So we are partnering them. We're going to, when the cohort starts, we are going to introduce Girls for Girls concepts to their mentors. And then hopefully their mentors will be able now to cascade the Girls for Girls program to different schools and different parts of the region. So we're excited about efforts partnering with the IFAC because of that. I think is going to be really great for the Kenya. Yeah, I can see Alan is reminding me that the hard cohort is mostly young bankers, young professional women, but we do have doctors in there as well. It's a mixed cohort. We have people from the insurance sector. I've seen many of them here today, and it's also very, very promising because many of them would like to start their own cohorts once they are through with this training. So we really see us expanding. In terms of, we also have some cohorts that are about to start, like the ZEPRI cohort, but it is currently on hold. We'll see whether we can take that online. In terms of strategy in Kenya, we have actually done a multi-pronged approach. As you can see, we've been in the communities where one of the cohorts is dealing with the university level, and the other one with was young students, 14 to 19. And then we have now gone into the corporate communities going forward. Yeah, so basically, I just want to thank the Kenyan mentors. We have a database of over 70 mentors. And thank you all of you who have turned up for this training. Hopefully by the end of the session, it will have ignited your passion, and you would have a more clear direction on how we move forward to girls in Girls for Girls Kenya. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it about Girls for Girls Kenya. Thanks. I hand over to Rita.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I'm very conscious of the time, so I'm going to try and do this a little bit quicker. My name is Rita Mortana. I am the team leader for South Africa. Very proud to have a significant portion of the cohort attending today. So Girls for Girls South Africa is younger than Uganda and Kenya. And Alan is going to tell me to tell my story, but one of the reasons, one of the different factors that made me take Girls for Girls to South Africa, I was part of the Namagunga cohort, is the fact that in South Africa at the time, we were facing, I think, moral dilemmas in our country. There were huge stories about corruption, I think at a scale our country had never seen. So the glory days of Mandela were gone. So that was from a country perspective. And then at a personal level, I was just returning after having been decades away from the country. My husband had been with the United Nations, and I was looking and hunting for a way to plug back into South Africa. Like I said to you, born in Uganda, raised for a fair portion of my life in Kenya, and this is my new home. And I kept on saying, what can I do? So one of the reasons our Girls for Girls tends to focus on the younger people is exactly that. I've got a couple of slides up here. Unlike the Ugandan and the Kenyan cohort, we have not yet gone into the corporate sector. We have 7 active cohorts that are happening in South Africa right now. And they target 2 universities, University of Pretoria and University of Johannesburg. These are public universities, not the posh private sector ones. They're the ones that are taking young, previously disadvantaged people and bringing them to the limelight. So for us, we are proud to be in partnership with University of Pretoria as well as University of Johannesburg. And then we've got foundations who are working with us. Asnath Mahapa Foundation, the first Black commercial pilot woman in South Africa. She's got her foundation. Valerie is here from that organization. We've got the Tomorrow Trust, who take children from underprivileged backgrounds and give them an opportunity to sharpen their school skills, but now they're adding on Girls for Girls. Ria is from there. We've also got the Athlon Girls, which is in an area that actually has a lot of migrants. And for those of you who follow the history of what's happening in South Africa, the whole xenophobia attacks, we've had to work with some of those girls. The Trevor Huddleston Foundation is working in an area that is afflicted with drugs. So you can see that the strategy in South Africa, we're deliberately trying to target and address the social constraints of our society. So for the ladies that are joining, they will be open to choose, where it is that they're going. So Girls for Girls in South Africa, it's not just any movement. We have a lot of mentorship organizations, a lot of community-based organizations, NGOs in South Africa. There are many, and supported by international donors and things like that. So Girls for Girls South Africa has to have a certain level of quality if it is to be trusted by the people that we are trying to help. I have a chart over there showing the mentees that are coming on board. We woke up one morning to find over 300 girls from the University of Pretoria had signed up, and this is before the lockdown. We were in shock. We didn't know what was happening. But for us, I remember speaking to Matete and saying to her, Dr. Madiba, what happened over here? And Priscilla, And then they said, this is testimony to the need and the hunger. So to all of you here, whether you're in Nairobi, sisters from Uganda, when you come to South Africa, know that you have a network that you can plug into, know that you can come and support, sisters in other places. And given how successful these online trainings are, why not? Why not be able to get in touch with the STEM cohort, put our girls from the STEM cohort in touch with the STEM side from Uganda, and actually take it to a bigger level? What are we doing, or rather, in terms of the formalization in South Africa, we've again, because of the corruption and the way people are abusing organizations in our country, we had to take a bit of time and formalize our organization. So we're officially registered as an NPC. We're hoping to get PBO status so that we can actually attract funding from private sector and they get a tax break. Historically, we started at University of Johannesburg. We deliberately went to Soweto. All of you know the name of Soweto. You know what it stands for politically in South Africa. And we were proud to be able to start there. We graduated 29 girls out of there. We know we were successful. I'm a monitoring and evaluation expert, so I always ask, what's the impact? We have 10 of that cohort that have signed up to be mentors today with us. So they're training with us in Athlon Girls, they're working with us in Tomorrow Trust, they're helping start up the cohorts at University of Johannesburg. So for those of you who may be here and are really not sure what it is that you're looking for from Girls for Girls, this gives you an insider as to how we quickly see a difference. Within 6 months, the girls joined, graduated, and now they're holding a hand out for another sister to lift as they rise. What are we doing during the lockdown? We're working on formalizing ourselves. We're developing standard operating procedures. We've faced some very horrible stories, girls with psychological distress. So we've put in place SOPs. We have a database that's going. Even now in lockdown, people are able to call in. We've put details for who they can call in for support, whether it's mental anguish or whatever it is. We're also doing online training platforms. Valerie, who is here, has helped put some of our previous training videos going online. So we're investing our time wisely. And of course, we're continuing with the online mentoring sessions with the Trevor Huddleston Foundation in the Westbury area. That's the area that's afflicted by the drugs and the gangsterism. We had a lovely session with them last week. So for all of you who are joining, welcome on board. And I am so happy to be here with all of you. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Hi, ladies. Let's start getting back to the session. I'm going to ask Stella. Stella, unmute yourself. Show us your video. Show us your dance moves. Stella?
All right. Thank you so much, Diana. Patricia, help me mute everybody else. Fantastic. Welcome back. So now we've gotten to the heart of the matter, where the rubber meets the road. This is the first session, building trust. So I just want to ask, so I'm a single girl. Please don't hook me up with your
and then just let me know when we expect.
Okay, I am getting some interruptions. Patricia, help me mute everybody else. Fantastic. So I'm a single girl, and so I go on very many dates. Please don't hook me up with your brothers. So I want you to put on the chat function, when has a date gone right and when has a date gone wrong? Your first date. So yes, I've had dates that I give people an opportunity to go on a second date, and there are ones who you just block them forever. And so what is it about that person that made you trust them enough to give them a second chance? So my name is Stella Kivila. I'm a drug dealer by profession, but I'm also a performance coach. And so I enjoy helping people become the best version of themselves. So I'd like to hear your comments and questions in the chat function as we go along. So the first session is about building trust. And my job here is very simple. I'll just get you through what building trust is all about, why this session is very important, and most importantly, how we build trust in Girls for Girls. So Alan alluded to the fact that we use stories to be able to do mentorship. So our objective in the first session is, even though we have 5 topics that we cover during the whole program, we cannot start sharing our secrets, sharing our stories if this particular section is not addressed. So the first objective of this session is creating circles. In Girls for Girls, we call them villages, as Alan alluded to. And the second objective is creating safe spaces. If you can look at that photo on your right part of the screen, you will see ladies talking. And you know, ladies, we talk a lot. We talk, every single day, studies have shown that we talk 21,000 words, 7,000 words above every man. So we talk a lot, but what are we really talking about? So mentorship circles become a way of bringing people together, gathering around a fire, sharing information, sharing our stories, in the objective of inspiring people to take action, inspiring people to achieve their dreams, inspiring people to break barriers, inspiring people to achieve their highest potential. So let me just start with the second objective, creating a safe space. So let me take you through the next slide, Patricia. Why trust is important. And so let me see if somebody has written why. Nobody is writing where a date went right and where a date went wrong. I'd like to see your comments. But you can never open up to somebody who you don't trust. So I'll bounce it off Theodore Roosevelt's quote that states, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So this is really about opening up, being vulnerable, and peeling off the layers. Just like an onion, mentorship is about peeling off what we are seeing. And just like an onion, sometimes people will cry through the sessions. Sometimes people will laugh through the sessions, and everything in between. So people have arrived as strangers, and how I'm still getting a lot of feedback in the background, which is a bit distracting. Please mute. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what we want to do is peel off the layers. These are girls who have come for the first time. They're very suspicious. We've told them that we're going to use our stories, but then at the end of the day, we don't just open up our business to strangers. So how do you turn a stranger into a friend? We have to peel off these layers. What is it? Why is it that all of us came to Girls for Girls? As a mentor, why did you come to Girls for Girls? Today, we've heard about our expectations. We've heard that people want to inspire another lady. Somebody wants another lady not to get into the pitfalls that they went through. People have come here with different interests. From a mentee's perspective as well, they have heard about Girls for Girls, but they're yearning for something different. They're yearning for somebody to listen to them. They're yearning for somebody to push them to the next level. So trust is very fundamental when it comes to this particular element of building a circle. So as a mentor, the first stage before we get into the sessions will be creating a safe space for all these mentors to feel at home, despite the fact that we have come from different backgrounds with all our different stories. Even in this group, we have 67 ladies on this group, 3 countries. All our experiences are different. I'm a Kenyan who was born and raised in Kenya. But then I found my way to Uganda. Why? Because I was chasing my dream of becoming a doctor. I was not able to get into medicine on government sponsorship, and therefore, because I really wanted to become a doctor, I looked for options, and off I was whisked to Uganda. to Makerere University. First of all, I had to repeat and go to A-levels, then go to Makerere University. I had no family in Uganda, and I had to navigate my way through life in a foreign country. You have come from a different background. Perhaps your life, your journey has been easy. Perhaps you have had to go through blood, sweat, and tears to get to where you are. Perhaps you have everything in between. So at the end of the day, these are pieces of our story that perhaps when people look at us every single day, they never get to know. And those are the most important things in our lives. But there's no way I'm going to start opening up to a total stranger about how, or there's a point when I had to, throughout university, I had to fend for myself. I had to take on part-time jobs. I had to do network marketing to raise my school fees. Every single time you see somebody is glowing, there's a story behind it. So what we say in Girls for Girls, behind every glory, there is a story. So all these women meet in one space, and then they're expected to tell those elements of a story, and they're wondering, who are you for me to be able to open up? Yeah. People have built fences for so many years. Even here in this space, you're wondering, when Alan talked about sharing stories, you're just thinking, how far is too far? Am I going to talk about a marriage that broke? Am I going to talk about a business that failed? Am I going to talk about the fact that, you know what, I was jobless for a long time? What am I going to talk about, even as I'm mentoring these girls? So all of us are carrying insecurities. And what I say, those insecurities are in form of fences. And the fences come in different ways, depending on how big you want to protect your story. It comes with a live fence, what we call hedges. Other people are carrying stone fences. Other people have even added barbed wire on top of the stone fences. Other people have mbwakali, which are dogs. Other people have electrocuted fences, do not touch. Otherwise, you're going to be dead. So all of us are carrying our different fences. And then we come to this space called Girls for Girls, and somebody tells you, now we need for you to open up your fences and then be able to share with everybody else about those things that you have been protecting for a very long time. So it takes a skill of a mentor to be able to break down the walls and be able to build bridges. So mentorship is a heart affair. It's not a head affair. Why? Because all of us have accolades. We've gone to school. We have accumulated so many things, but that's a non-factor. Somebody who has been in the mining field, like some ladies that we mentored in the mining industry, somebody in the corporate space, somebody who is in school, all that doesn't matter. What you are carrying, what the titles that you're carrying are a non-factor when it comes to mentorship. All you have is a story. All you have is a story. So Martin Luther King said that everybody can lead because everybody has a story. I'd want to say everybody can mentor because Martin Luther King said, that everybody can lead because everybody can serve. I'd like to say that everybody can be a mentor because everybody has a story. So it's time now in this session called Building Trust, you're going to break down the walls, help the ladies break down their walls and be able to share with us what their aspirations are, what the challenges have been, and how we can be able to proceed further. So that's why trust is important when it comes to our approach, when it comes to mentoring. So let's navigate to the tools and techniques of building trust. So a mentor wants to know, 1, can I trust you? 2, can you help me? And 3, do you care? If you can answer those 3 questions, then you would definitely be able to break down the walls and build bridges. So 1, can I trust you? 2, do you care? 3, can you help me to get to where I want to be? Okay, fantastic. So at this particular point, I am going to call call some ladies to read out some things, and I'm just going to be random about it. So I'm going to call Vivian Dambia from Uganda. I'm going to call up Faith Mutuku from Kenya, and I'm going to call up Nazreen from South Africa. I want you at the count of 3 to unmute yourself and read whatever is on your screen. On your left side of the screen. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Are you ready? Wonderful, wonderful. So let's do this. Let's do this. So let's start from whatever is on your book right now. I want you to read it. Forget about the screen. Whatever is on your book right now, start reading on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1.
It's on my what?
Whatever
People
is on.
don't care how much until they see how much you care. Mentorship
Stella,
is affair, not a head affair. Everyone can lead because.
Okay, so Faith, pause a bit. Pause a bit. I've lost Nazreen and Vivian. So the instructions are: whatever is in front of you, start reading at the count of 3. So if you have a book in front of you, if you have your notes in front of you, start reading at the count of 3. Are you ready? Vivian, are you ready?
Yeah.
Nazreen, are you ready?
Yes.
Faith, are you ready?
Yes.
Wonderful. 3, 2, 1, go.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Mentorship is a heart affair and not a head affair.
You have to read at the same time. Faith is overpowering you. Vivian and Nazreen, read at the same time. Faith is overpowering you. Fight for your space. Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Girls for Girls initiative seeks to address the inequality in leadership positions across the globe. The program seeks to mentor and encourage
Nazreen,
girls
continue.
15 to 25 years to take on leadership positions in government, business, or civil society. The program is structured to provide specifically curated mentorship sessions, access to a network of local and global fraternity of leaders, as well as cross-border exchange and insights with people excelling. We are being women. When one is talking, we wait for the other.
Awesome, fantastic. Thank you. Can you? Okay, so let's just give a thumbs up. There's a reactions tab on your screens. You can give a thumbs up, a clap to these amazing ladies. Thank you so much, Vivian, Faith, and Nazreen, for being good spots on this exercise. Yeah. So.
Did we lose Stella?
No, I'm online. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. So, as we are building trust is to harness listening skills. So the exercise that we went through right now was just demonstrating how good are you at listening. So remember, a mentee wants to find out, 1, can I trust you? 2, do you care? And number 3, can you help me? And so if we go back to your experiences, when you go back to your experiences about your first date, yes, I am seeing people saying the person was honest, humble, and respectful. So respect comes when you are listening, okay? Somebody said the worst date was the person was not considerate. Being considerate, one of the skills is that you listen. Somebody said, is it Vivian who said, we are ladies, we give the other person an opportunity to speak, and then you go next. So trust makers and trust breakers. If you look at your welcome pack, you got some guidance on mentorship 101. And it was basically highlighting what you should do and what you should not do during mentoring. So I call them trust makers. The do's are the trust makers and the don'ts are the trust breakers, okay? So listening is part of it. But unfortunately, people say that they listen, but they do not really listen with all their hearts. So some tips. When somebody is talking, listen with your ears, listen with your heart, and listen with your eyes. Right now, we are doing a lot of virtual mentoring. So how can we be able to achieve that? We listen with our whole being. We listen with eye contact. That's why we tell you, switch on your video so we can be able to see you. So when somebody is speaking, body language, the body language will come on board. And it's very easy to get distracted in the era of technology. In the same light, you can be distracted. That is a trust breaker. Distraction with technology. Somebody is talking to you, but you are on your phone. You are, WhatsApping. Even right now, we can see people who are distracted on this particular screen. Can you see them? Can you see the guys who are distracted? Fantastic. So that comes along. So somebody is distracted. I'm seeing people fixing their cameras, people sitting up straight. Yeah. So at the end of the day, the body language that you project helps or hinders the other person to keep on sharing. So your body language is going to help the other person break down the walls. So I've talked about a trust maker and I've talked about a trust breaker. But even when you're listening, I'd want you to mirror the other person. So the mirror technique is very important when you're doing effective listening. What is a mirror technique? When somebody is happy, be happy with them. When somebody is sad, be sad with them. There's no point of somebody sharing a very sad story and you're there smiling on the camera. You are putting your best foot forward because, we've said branding is very important. Yeah? No, when somebody is sharing a sad story, be there. Understand where they're coming from. So now that we are doing virtual mentoring, your voice is very important. How do you echo back what the other person has said using your voice? All right. So to add into listening, I would say listen with your eyes, listen with your ears, listen with your heart, and listen with your mouth as well. Give feedback, okay? It's very important, all right? So another thing, to overcome distraction, be present. Be present. Be there. You're only here for 3 hours. Every mentorship session takes at most 3 hours. That's not supposed to be the time where now the kids come, and, disturb you, especially when you're doing virtual mentoring. Find a way, because once you distract the other person from sharing an amazing part of their journey, you build back that wall. You don't help them break down the wall, okay? Secondly, you are there to advise and guide. You're there to advise and guide, okay? Now, this is very difficult because most of us have seen life, and I've just loosely translated it from a Kenyan perspective. Tumeona maisha, we have seen life, okay? So you think that, these young girls, they don't know any better, okay? So let me tell them how it is done, okay? So what you will be tempted to do is to become a mother, because you're looking at this girl from university and she's sharing with you a story about the sponsor issue, a blesser issue, something, and your motherhood will kick in place, I promise you. You'll be tempted to say, stop stop joking with life. You'll judge, you'll start preaching, you'll start teaching, you'll start mothering. So mentoring is not being a mother, it's not being a preacher, it's not being a teacher. So you will be tempted, I promise you. But every time you're tempted, remember that you're there to advise, you're there to guide, you're not there to judge, and you're not there to speak over or to speak at the matters. So please withhold that urge to judge, because I know you have seen life, okay? So in that particular part, so one of the trust makers is advise and guide, okay? The trust breaker is preaching, teaching, mothering, speaking at, lecturing. You're not there to do that. You're there to facilitate a conversation where somebody can be able to unearth their issues, but also through collaboration from different stories to inspire somebody else to overcome their own barriers. So I am seeing somebody asking, how do you switch off the mother instincts? That is a tight paper. That's why I told you, I promise you, you will be tempted. So every single time you come to a mentorship session, I want you to remove the hat of being a mother and wear the hat of being a what? A mentor. So the temptation is there, but the key thing is awareness. Awareness that you're not there to teach and to preach and to lecture. You're there to guide, okay? The next layer of the do's and don'ts is about showing up. And I'll give you a scenario. When we were doing mentorship for young girls living with HIV and AIDS, that was, I think, one of the most difficult cohorts I've ever had to be part of. Because one, these ladies are amazingly, they're so ambitious, they're so beautiful, but then at the same time, it had taken so much for them to be able to open up to us their status. So we went through so everybody was excited. Finally, they had gotten mentors. And then in the next session, some mentors did not come back to us at some point when they were doing the feedback session, when they were giving back feedback and feedback to their cohort leaders. And they said, we feel cheated. Why? Because in the first session in building trust, we really opened up so much. We are not only living with HIV and AIDS, but then it has taken a lot for us to be able to open up that bit of our lives. So when somebody doesn't come back, they equate that to rejection. So for me, when you are mentoring, not only should you be present at that particular session, but also be present throughout the 6 sessions. And I know life happens, but what we say, at least do 4 out of 6 sessions, okay? So showing up is a trust maker. Being committed is a trust maker. Don't hit and run. Don't come for 1 session, half a session, and you have to run. If you have to commit to a session, commit to it. If you have to commit to a cohort, commit to it. So trust is broken when you do hit and runs. And that we learned we didn't think it was such a big issue until these ladies gave us that feedback. So a trust maker, showing up.
Okay, Stella, you have 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay, fantastic.
2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Diana. All right. So a trust breaker is leaving people hanging. You show up today, you don't show up the next time. And so at the end of the day, when you show up in the 5th session, just know people moved on without you and it's not going to be the same. So you interrupt. So what we always say, if you have missed honestly some sessions, we don't bring you back to the circle, okay? So that is important. So I took time during the do's and don'ts because we have our different spheres of lives where we have learned how to navigate in our different ways. So it's important to navigate some nuances during this session. Then, how do you now run the session? In that introduction session, make it lively. Get people to introduce themselves and give a fun fact about themselves. It's an icebreaker. Then get a name for your group. Then the second thing is establish guidelines and norms and expectations for that particular group. And this, you don't have to do anything about it. You can just get the girls to contribute. So they'll talk about confidentiality is key. Don't tell my story out there. Let's listen to one another. You are dealing with bright, amazing ladies. So they will come up with their own guidelines of how they want to navigate it. The last thing is share your story. Now, at that particular point, people are always apprehensive to share their story. So start with yourself and tell your own story. What, and in this particular case, give your aspiration. Where did you want to go when you were growing up? What challenges have you faced in a very summarized form, okay? And so that people can understand even you are human. Even you are human. You have, even you are human. You have gone through life, as I said, okay? So share your story and then allow the ladies to share their story. But bottom line in this particular session, in that particular aspect, let people talk about where they want to go, that is their aspiration, and what challenges they are facing currently, okay? But go first so that you can allow others to go next, all right? As I conclude, a good mentor is empathetic. I have already talked to you about it. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. A good mentor is adaptable. Perhaps you were brought up in the leafy suburbs of this, you know, of whichever country that you live in. And then you go to a place like in the slums, like Salama Gashie, and you're wondering, me, I've never lived without food. So when somebody says, you know what, I slept hungry, you cannot be able to relate. What I can say, be adaptable at that particular point. And that is drawn from the empathetic side. And lastly, a good mentor is committed, all right? And I've shared a lot, and right now, at the end of the day, you're going to say, oh my goodness, I don't think I'm ready for this session. Oh my goodness, I don't think I can do all this. I can switch off my mother hat and switch on to a mentor hat. You may be anxious at this particular point. But I remember when I joined Girls for Girls, I went with Alan. I met Alan in a networking function, and if you've met Alan, she's like, oh my goodness, yes, come on board. Yeah, we are meeting in St. Mary's, Bugonga, whatnot. For me, I wanted to go and see, to be seen and not to be heard. Then Alan told me, you're running a session.
Emergency fund, maybe we can talk about it now as we wait.
Okay. You are running, so Alan just threw me under the bus and she gave me a circle to run. And then I was just thinking, Alan, this was not the plan. I was supposed to come and observe, not be really a mentor, isn't it? But worry not, things flowed because the girls talk. And the one thing that we've never been able to do is break down those circles. We say 45 minutes, but these girls want to continue talking and talking and talking. So your job is very simple, to just facilitate the conversation. So God bless you and make you a blessing. And remember, a candle loses nothing by lighting up another candle. So I'm very proud of you for taking the first step to say yes. And I want to encourage you that you are enough. If Stella, who used to feel that I am not enough for some spaces, I used to deal with the imposter syndrome. Today, I can be here mentoring ladies. That means that I am enough. And if I am enough, you are enough. Back to you, Diana. God bless.
Flowers to you, Stella. Thank you so much for your contribution. Stella, your candle is always lighting mine. And it's exciting. We're going to quickly move on to the next presenter, who's Florence. But ladies, we're going to have a session where we break out, and in those spaces, you'll have a chance to ask more questions from the leaders on the room and the leaders in your country. Thank you so much. And Stella and Florence, over to you. Woo!
Wow, very exciting, very exciting. My name is Florence Nsubuga. I am an executive at Umeme, but most importantly, I am a team leader for Girls, and I started the first corporate cohort, which I am very proud of. I put up this picture just to drive home the message. Everything you have ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And this ties in from the building of trust. As Stella indicated, during the trust session, you are able to put down the baseline, identify the girls have dreams, we all have dreams, but what is holding us back is that fear. So I'm going to talk about courageous leadership. The main objective of this module, as you will see in your pack, is to empower mentees to identify role models, mentors, sponsors, appreciate the qualities of these leaders that they admire, identify leadership qualities in themselves as capable of exercising leadership, and gaining that confidence to undertake leadership actions proactively, apply leadership principles in their lives. At this stage, I believe we all listened to the video by Nancy Cohen on courageous leadership. So we will be walking through the principles of courageous leadership. Why do we need courage? I would like to share a story. And the story I'm going to share briefly, the person is on this group and on this call. It's a story about Evelyn. When I got to start the cohort at Umeme, I got to know Evelyn deeper. I got to understand her dreams. At that point in time, Evelyn is somebody who she's a jack of all trades. She's an architect. At that time, she was overseeing an 18-story building. She was doing so many projects. She had just been put on a project worth millions of dollars, looking at integrated solar systems and the grid. But guess what? Evelyn had to relocate to Australia. She had to make a decision. She was sad. I remember her coming to me crying and saying, oh God, I have just started the peak of whatever I want to do. My dream, I love infrastructure. I want to plan and build cities. But here she was, she had seen her dream coming through, and then she felt crushed. But having that courage and saying, okay, let me put down, let me look and apply. I love infrastructure. I've worked in electricity. There was an opportunity in the water sector. She applied and she got the job. So as she went to Australia, she continued because she was clear about her purpose. One of the principles under courageous leadership is find your mission, know your purpose. What's your purpose? We note that sometimes it takes a number of years. Some of us are still looking, but with Evelyn's story, she clearly knew what she wanted. So even the courage going to Australia did not stop her. She had the courage. She had so much fear. But after going through the G4G session, she got courage and she applied and managed to get an opportunity in the water sector, which tied in with her dream. So one of the principles, the first principle that we look at under courageous leadership by Nancy Cohen is find your purpose. Many times we struggle, even as mentors. When we mentor some girls, they don't know, they are not sure. We need to help them to identify with people they admire, to be able to find their purpose, find their dreams and the qualities that these people have so that they can see them in themselves and pursue their dreams. The other principle under courageous leadership is investing in your gathering years. Again, Alan shared her story. I remember her on that call. We used to talk every day, but here she was. It was not easy. She got her backpack and she said, Florence, can you imagine I'm carrying my backpack? She left her children. She had to dispose of her properties. But look at what we have now, a revolution. She shared her passion for women. And this, while she was gathering all this information, possibly she didn't see things coming through because there might have been a lot of roadblocks, her kids calling from a distance, but she remained focused. Invest in information gathering. Once you know your dream, you know what you want to pursue, you're clear about your mission, or you're still looking, what books are you reading? You'll have to walk the mentees through this so that they understand that even as they navigate, they may find difficulties. They may not clearly see what they want coming through. Many of our mentors, some of them are students, and they are applying for jobs. Others have to write 200 applications, and they don't clearly see where they are going. But all this is an investment as they work to achieve their dreams. Most importantly, if I talk about my own story, about 10 years ago, I had just a handful of people in my village. And who are the people in my village? Some of them are on this call, and Alan and Diana are one of them. I struggled a lot to expand people within my village. But with Girls for Girls, look at what I have here. I must say that during this COVID period, I've gone through challenges. Many times I'm on the verge of falling off the cliff. But because I've expanded my village, today we have 69 ladies on this call who are now part of my village. Every time I fall, I'm falling on the cliff, the people within my village hold me. So with courageous leadership, Nancy Cohen encouraged us to grow our village. Who are the people you trust? Who are the people you trust, who you will share with, such that in case of anything, in case of a challenge, you grow your village. That picture that I shared, I was scared. I got onto this board of Umeme, and I was the only lady with 9 men. You can clearly see from the picture that my eyes were filled with fear. But because I had grown through the ranks, I had all this, Stella talked about peeling the onion. I had all this clout around me. But I decided to be vulnerable, to share with people in my village, people that I trusted. I did share with Alan, who has been my mentor for quite a long time, and she was able to support me through this journey. So it's very important to grow our village. People who will help us to walk our walk as we work to achieve our dream. As we walk this walk, the other element is to keep your eye on the bigger picture. Many times, as we walk this journey, we struggle. There are challenges, but we have to be careful so we do not fall through the cracks. So we need to focus on the bigger picture. We need to know that as we are walking this journey of achieving our dreams, we may knock our toes, but it's very important to focus on the bigger picture and not fall through the cracks. Looking at that picture, and the one thing that released me as a leader was telling my story. Stella talked about telling the story. Peeling that onion, peeling off those layers, it took me a lot of courage. It took me a lot of courage as a leader to peel off those layers. So when Girls for Girls started, I put up my hand together with Claire. We started the first cohort at Umeme. I know many of you are asking questions. When Stella asked about power, the rating, I think it was Diana, whether we have power, I debated whether to write a 3 or a 4. I ended up writing a 4 because I still have the fear in me, as you can see in this picture. But with Girls for Girls, opening up a cohort at Umeme gave me the opportunity to be vulnerable, to demonstrate to the people that I was leading that I went through I had the same fears like they had, going through the process of building trust. It was very difficult. We debated what will we say, but I told my story. When I told my story, I was able to connect the team and I was able to walk the team through the session. It takes courage. The one thing I always say, own your story and you get to write the ending. Deny your story and it owns you. The question I want to pose to you, what do you want to be courageous for? That is a question, and you put your answers on the chat. What do you want to be courageous for? I wanted to be courageous because I had a dream. I have a dream, and that dream pushed me to work hard, to grow into the ranks, but I still had fear. This fear is what is holding us back as far as our dreams are concerned. So this session of courageous leadership is very critical for us to identify with the people who we admire so that we see the leadership qualities that they have in us and get that courage to be able to drive ourselves to achieve what we want. As we ponder over that question, what we want to be courageous for, we'll go into the session where we deliver, on how we deliver this module. We are fortunate, we'll have a practical session. We'll break out in groups. At this stage, I would like to request, I don't know whether it's Patricia or Rita, to go into the breakout circles. Yes. Yeah.
And maybe I'll just let you know what to expect.
Yes.
Right now, Rita is going to open up the rooms, and what you'll expect is a message to join a room. And in that room, you will get to know ladies from different countries, and you'll get to ask questions. Florence, I've seen some questions in the chat bar specifically for you. How did you break through that ceiling, that demographic? You may have to post your message in the chat bar so that we can go to the next phase. But in the rooms, we'll have leaders from different countries, and those leaders will be leading in the engagement in the room. So handing it back to Rita. Rita?
Okay. Probably before Rita comes in the rooms, we'll have an opportunity to run a circle practically. The leaders will give you guidelines. They will lead you and guide you in the whole process. And this is the same way when you start to run your cohorts that you'll be running this session. So over to you, Rita.
Okay, I'm going to ask Annette Mulira from Kenya to not go anywhere else. Everyone else, I'm going to send you into the meeting room. You only have 10 minutes for the discussion. I hope the instructions are clear. Please agree to go to the next room. Please agree to go to the rooms, yeah?
It's too short.
I know. All right, ladies, welcome back. Welcome back. I want you to share your quick, brief reaction from coming into the room, and I will ask one representative from 3 groups. We had 9 rooms, but I'll ask only 3 representatives. So from my group, yeah, you know, when you're in the group of the moderator, you get a chance to speak. So Grace will speak from our room. And then Alan from Florence's room, Florence presenter. Florence, nominate someone in the chat bar so that they can speak out. And then we'll have somebody also from Angela's group. Angela from Nairobi. Someone from your group, nominate them in the chat bar and then let them know to speak. So Grace, I know you're back. Just quickly tell them the name of our group and one thing that you took away from our group.
Okay, our group is growth mindset. And I think the major thing is, I guess, not flying solo, and I guess also being courageous in the midst of it all and not being afraid and not wanting to fly solo as an individual in your spheres of life.
Thank you. So Florence and Angelina, I need the names of your representatives in the group. Stella, thank you for sharing Samantha's name, Samantha from Zimbabwe. Please share with us if you have a name and what you took away from your group. Thank you, Grace.
So, Diana, from my group, I'll ask someone to put up their hand.
Okay. All right. So Samantha first. Samantha.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so we came up, the time was quite short, but we came up with a group name, which I think was really the bomb. So we said our group will be called Courageous Power Girls. Courageous Power Girls. And yeah, we didn't really have so many people talk, but the major point was we people as women would like to help other women. There's one of the ladies who said she already started something, a women family support group, but she's failing financially to achieve her aspiration, but she would really want to further her goals. And yeah, basically financial problems were raised. And yeah, thank you.
All right, ladies, thank you so much. Pa, 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 pa for you all. That's what we do when you have young children. And I really appreciate you. And I'm going to ask our next presenter to prepare herself, the amazing Rita from South Africa. And she's coming to talk to us about telling the art of communication. Okay, so Rita, please take it on from there. Thank you.
Okay,
Diana,
breath.
Sorry, Rita, can I just step in for 1 minute to just wrap up on courageous leadership, because it's a critical session. There are 3 principles. The first, leaders are not born, they are made. So that's why we get this session for girls to know they can become leaders. So it's so powerful. Please watch the video. The second is that you have to have your village, and that's why we try to get you to create names. So please watch the video. It has amazing principles that have worked for all of us. For Florence to get her to speak in that boardroom that you saw, she's now very vocal. They're asking her why she's not the chairperson in some circles. So please use the principles. I just thought I would emphasize that leaders are made, they are not born, and that's why we emphasize courageous leadership. Do it afraid. Thank you. Over to you, Rita.
Okay. So I need to breathe. I was busy managing all of you in the room, so I'm coming from being a secretary to now being a facilitator. I'm talking about the art of communication, and I've put up a slide of Angela Mayo, who is one of our favorite authors. In South Africa, we tend to celebrate, and we're always quoting her. And she says, the late, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's where we start off. That communication, Stella talked about, communicating with your eyes, your ears, and your heart. It's the feeling. As human beings, that's one of the things that's powerful about us. It's the emotions. I can say many nice things. I can speak as well as possible, but how did I impact you, and what were the emotions that were evoked? This session builds on the 2 previous sessions. Under building trust, we have brought the girls into the fold. We have said to them, welcome to a family that you can trust. This is your village. Feel free to bring your dreams, your aspirations, your fears. Bring them to us. We're going to talk about them. We then go into courageous leadership. Like Alan says, it's probably the pivotal module under Girls for Girls. That's what we seek to do. Our call to action is empowering girls to lead. And that's why courageous leadership comes early. And we say to the girls, find your mission, know your village, invest in your information, in your information gathering years. And we encourage them at the end of that session to start being a leader. But as you step out into your leadership responsibilities, one of the most important things is your ability to communicate effectively. Communication is not about standing up and speaking. There are a number of things that one has to do in order to be an effective communicator. And that's why we call it the art of communication. So this session is very much skills-based. We actually say that while some other sessions can be combined, for example, we combine sometimes building trust together with courageous leadership. Sometimes we do running for public office together with ethics and values. There are 2 sessions we never put back to back. Why? They're heavy. they're skills-based, and normally by the time the mentees and the mentors are walking out, they are tired. So under the art of communication, we are looking to teach the girls, and we are always learning as well, how to tell your story. Telling our story as women is something we embrace because it's something we historically, I think we've been very good at doing. But they almost say to us, when you come to the boardroom, please don't behave like a woman. We want you to just tell us the facts. Ellen always reminds us, and she says, it's okay. Speak from the heart, not just to articulating the facts that we tend to fall back on, which are typically in the male-driven world. So it's a thing that we own as women, our ability to tell the story. So under this this module, there's a video that accompanies it, and of course you will get to watch it. It's one of the shorter videos, but one of the more impactful ones. And what he does is that he provides a framework, the professor that presents it, for effective communication. And it's really about skills and techniques on how to be effective with your communication, how to craft your message and make sure it is able to reach people's heads and hearts, okay? So if you're looking at the handouts that we sent out to you, please look for Art of Communication. And there are a couple of key principles for those of you who already have your guidebooks, because I know that there are some people who are following, who are repeat trainers. Please follow with me on the Art of Communication. I'm going to talk about the content. That will be the first bit that I do. And then we will talk about how the sessions are actually run during the sessions with the girls. We might have a little bit of a skit, and then we'll also tell you things to be aware of when you're running this session. So that's the structure I am going to follow. So principle number one, know your audience. You need to understand who it is you're talking to, and it has implications for many things. It has implications for the language that you're using. Sometimes you use is and was. But when you're talking to in the boardroom, like Florence was saying, that's when you escalate your language and you talk technically. When you're in an interview, you also want to articulate whatever it is you're applying in relation to the job that you are applying. When you're running for office, so whether it's, to be a student representative, to be a class, a class, what do you call it, class monitor, you would adjust your language accordingly. Think about it. And let me ask you, so turn off your mics. If you were to explain to, and I'll do a random pickup by people who show, that raise their hands. What would you say? 2 sentences. What would you say if you're trying to convince someone to come and be a Girls for Girls mentor? How would you describe Girls for Girls? Florence, what do you say?
Wow.
Okay, I'll go for it and then we'll keep doing. I'm trying to do a little bit of activity to keep you guys involved. When I tell people about joining Girls for Girls as a mentor, I tell people a personal story. I tell people how my great friend Alan is one of the founders. Okay, so what? What does it mean for you? And I tell people how Alan was able, she's come into my life at 2 critical points. And she has redirected me. The first was when I was young, married, not working in the United States. I was a diplomat's wife. She came, visited, and said, this is all nice. The baby, the doting husband, the Mercedes, or whatever it is. But Rita, where are you? She's the woman who set me on my path. I kept on saying, I'm a lawyer. I'm not accredited to practice in the United States. I tried doing it in South Africa. I converted my law degree, and here I am again in the United States. I can't keep doing this. And Alan said, it's not the end of the world. You find something to do. Within 1 month of Alan having left me, I signed up to do a master's in business administration, and I did it online so that I would never have to fall back on, okay, now I'm leaving the United States, I cannot complete my studies. The second time Alan came back into my life was with Girls for Girls. Here I was coming back to South Africa. My only network, and I will not lie to you, was my family. I didn't have friends here in South Africa. And I kept on saying to her, it's tough. You get back and you're trying to settle in. The husband has friends because that's where he's from. But my own network is really not there. All I have is family, which is really my husband's family. And she said, look, here's a great opportunity. And look at how many sisters I have today. People like Valerie, who are now I look up to attending this training that I'd never seen before. So when I'm convincing a person to come join Girls for Girls, that's what I will say to them. It's a woman, mentor, probably an experienced person, and I will tell her my story. What would I say if I was to try and convince a corporate sponsor, predominantly a board of male people? How would I describe Girls for Girls? Someone, come on, anyone, let's see, Val. What would I say? Would it be the same story?
No.
No. Can I come in?
Yes, can someone help me? Yes, Valerie, go for it. What would you say? How would you describe Girls for Girls?
I would describe it as a way of connecting with other women. That is my main way of doing it. But what I would definitely do is try and find out what that person would want to learn or gain from the situation first, and then try and appeal to what that person wanted.
What if you're talking to an all-male board and you're trying to convince them to sponsor Girls for Girls?
In that respect, I would try and drive what benefits they would get out of it
as a company, right?
As a company, yes.
Okay, know your audience. In other words, I can't now go and start telling them how Alan came and streamlined my life. Madiba, you want to go for it, Matete?
I wanted to say to the sponsor, I'll talk about how it's an opportunity to fight inequality.
Okay, that's right. So that's the point that the professor makes. The first thing is know your audience. And this always leads into deeper discussion. Yes, who wants to put that
just to share from my experience, what I told the managing director and the head of HR was the opportunity to empower women to lead and increase productivity, because we see many of them taking up leadership positions and it will increase productivity. And glad to note that within 3 months of the session, 3 women took up leadership positions. They were promoted, and in that year we earned the award of the best performing department in the company.
Exactly. So you spoke their language, right? Because that's what bosses are like. They want to hear about productivity. They want to hear about earnings and things like that. So that's the first lesson that we say to the girls. Know your audience. When we do a practical around know your audience, if I think back to the UJ cohort, one of the difficulties that they had expressed was the challenges in communicating with their parents. They said, you guys never listen to us. So one of the skits we did was a difficult mother dealing with a teenager who wanted to go out. And we all know what that situation looks like. So we presented it. And then the girls gave feedback on how they could have done better. So know your audience. Know when you don't catch mommy when the dishes in the sink are that high. You catch her at a good moment. So know your audience doesn't just mean researching and understanding the technical context that you're in. It also means knowing the right time to talk to people, the right time to catch them in the right mood and things like that. Okay, second principle, know the why behind your what. The what are the facts that we tend to talk about. So like Florence was saying, productivity, timeliness, efficiency, and things like that. But you need to be able to tell the story behind you. When people say, I am passionate about Girls for Girls, why? Most of us here will say, I'm a woman. And then you say, but why? And then they will say, there is a woman who lifted me up. And you go deeper into it. When you talk about your why, you're building on the session on courageous leadership. Under the courageous leadership, where you have explained what your value system is and your mission in life, it's what gives you impetus for what it is that you're doing today. So when you say, I think in the little group that I was in for a few minutes, someone said, that she's looking to give back to society. So that's the what she wants to do. But the why, and then they start to tell you that it's because at the worst moment of their lives, someone came and picked them up. So for me, that's my personal story when I talk about why I went into Girls for Girls and I invest so much time. It's because of, what I think I'm able to give back to my society and how I can also at a selfish personal level be able to plug into the South African society. So it very much builds on the courageous leadership. Your ability to be able to express your why. I want to open up an orphanage. Fine, that's the what. But why? Because I grew up as an orphan and no one was able to help me. Or maybe because I did enter an orphanage and I know what it did for me. And that is why I am able to do it. We ask people to talk about their why because it allows you to relay the emotion, which is what we were talking about earlier on. Not just giving cold, hard facts, but actually being able to show people a piece of you. And that is what it means to be a courageous leader, that you can actually show a few of your fears and something that is deep within you, but it also carries people along. When people feel that they understand you, it also means that they buy into you. Imagine if you're going through an interview with 50 women and everyone is coming in and saying, oh, I want to work here because it's a great organization and something. You will remember that one person who walks in and explains to you from the bottom of her heart why she thinks she is going to be different here and why it's going to be different for her. So it relates very much to your value system. The next key point under the art of communication is what we have been saying. I think you've already heard it like 20 times today. Tell your story. And that is why every session is seeming a little bit short, because everyone has a story to tell. But there's a caution here. As you tell your story, know which bits to cut out and tell in relation to the point at hand. So I can't now tell you, I went to primary school in Kenya, Consolata girls, and then I came back, I went to Namagunga. No. Cut pieces of your story that are relevant to the current situation. So it is important that you tell your story, but we're not saying bore people with facts. Look for something that is short, sharp, to the point. If you don't have a story to tell, so for example, you're in the circle and the girls say, we don't understand that point, investing in information gathering years. Can you tell us, give us an example? And then you look and you say, okay, I know that the way I can win them over is by telling a story. It need not be your story. I can draw on someone else's story. So tell your story does not necessarily mean your whole life story. It means relevant bits and pieces of the story, but it also means it can be someone else's story. I love to tell Alan's story. I love to tell Asnath Mahapa's story, the first Black woman pilot in South Africa, and how they said, there is the line. If you don't go over that line, you're not going to be able to be a pilot in South Africa. And she had to give up 7 years of her study to go back and join the army and rise through the ranks again. There's nothing as courage. So when the girls are saying, it's very difficult to get up, I love to tell that story and say, Asnath looked at 7 years and said, that is fine, I'm writing them off and I will start all over again. That story is possibly more inspirational than some of the little bits and pieces that I can draw out of myself. The last bit about the art of communication is about the call to action. So you can talk well, you can present well, you can say all the right things. And people are like, yeah, we're going with you, keep going. And you walk away without saying what it is you want people to do. Call to action. It is an opportunity that is wasted if you have people walking with you, they have bought into you, you've bared your value system to them, you've shown them what it is that you're standing here for, and then you leave them hanging. So always, at the end of what it is that you're saying, have a call to action. For us, our call to action at Girls for Girls is empowering girls to lead. Sorry, I do the very East African thing. I'm always waiting for people to come back and lead. To lead. Right, there we go. And then you hear it amongst the great leaders. Barack Obama, yes, we can. Martin Luther King, I
have a dream.
Have a dream. Our orange man, make
America great again. Disinfect yourself.
Inject yourself with disinfectant.
Michelle, and it's so what the examples I've given are very much Martin Luther King and I have a dream in the midst of the civil rights movement. It became a rallying call. Every Black person knew that you just say, I have a dream, and you're connected. Michelle Obama woke us up when she said, when they go low, we go high. So always have it doesn't mean that you always have to be catchy. I mean, some people are not naturally catchy, but at least be able to articulate. And when I think about the great women, Wangari Maathai in Kenya, and when she was leading the environmental movement, I can't remember a particular quote, but I remember there was a visual I once watched of her where she was looking the police in the eyes and saying, if my blood has to be spilled, so let it be. Nelson Mandela said the same thing. If I am going to die for my ideals, so be it. But so sometimes it's what we said, it's the emotion that people put in you. So always have that. As you end, make sure you have a call to action. Are we together? Yeah, okay. And you know, communication, like we said, eyes, ears, and heart. I'm watching you guys. I'm looking at who is nodding and who is not nodding.
Okay, Rita, you have 3 minutes.
I know. What I want to do is now to do a little skit with you guys. So I want 3 volunteers. I'm not going to land on you.
Is it me or is Rita's audio not coming through?
Rita, we can't hear you.
Rita, we can't hear you.
I have no background audience. So maybe
that's good now. That's good now. We can hear you now. Continue.
Okay, I have no background audience. So what I want is this. I want you to think about something you're passionate about. And in 1 minute, can you tell us about it? Or like I said earlier on, if you want a more concrete example, what is it walking away from Girls for Girls training today? What is it you would go and say to someone else about why they would join Girls for Girls? So, volunteers, let's see who is a courageous leader. And the facilitators are not allowed to do this. Come on, 1 person from South Africa, 1 person from Uganda, 1 person from Kenya. Go for it. Diana, you're not allowed. Come, my time is ticking. You heard I only have three minutes, which I think is now at 2.
I'll take it for the SAT.
Fantastic, Grace. Go for it.
Yeah, so I think the big takeaway is that if I'm to bring anybody on board is that we are each other's keepers.
No, I want you to talk. I want you to talk to the audience. I want you to tell us your why, not your what. I want you to tell a story a little bit. I want you to make a call to action. That's what I want. I'm looking for you to model the skills, not for you to tell me what you've learned. So no pressure. Who wants to go first?
Okay.
Someone else said, okay. You want to go, Grace? Or you want to think it through? Come on.
Can I try?
Yes, please. Sue, go for it. Sue Birunji. Is it Sue Birunji?
Yes, Subirunji. I want ladies to join G4G because I believe that girls hold the future for this nation and for the world in a whole. So once we unite, push each other up, I'm sure we'll make this world a better place. We'll nurture mothers, we'll nurture leaders, we'll nurture in every sphere, in the science, in the arts. I believe we can make very good people if we try.
Fantastic. Okay. So I heard your why. You want to make the world a better place. I heard your call to action. You actually called across scientists and so and so. That's great. Okay. And I also heard it in your voice. You were able to, you went high, you went low, you modulated very well. That's fantastic. Okay. That was Uganda. Was that Uganda?
Okay. Kenya, Uganda, representing.
It's Kenya, actually.
One now.
Kenya.
Take another country. That was Kenya. Okay. So, who is going for Uganda? Who is going from South Africa? Come on, guys. I think I have 1 minute left.
Can I take Uganda?
Go ahead.
I'm not from in Uganda.
Okay, go ahead. Take Uganda. Fantastic. Go for it.
Okay. This is my dream, and for the work that the reason I'm joining the group, the team here. I've been working in child development and learned how to help our children to be vigilant, to be bright, to be intelligent, to be, to start education and take it seriously. And having learned that, I want to work with the mothers, and encourage them and train them and, to be able to hold their children, to teach their children, to bring them up to be brilliant so that they easily go through education and therefore they are able to do a better job in their lives. So they become better leaders.
Right. Okay. So your ultimate goal is leadership. And you're using the mothers as a vehicle. But you've also explained your why. You explained the need that is there in society. Thank you so much, Mary. That's fantastic. Okay, now my people must not disappoint me.
Can Joyce say something?
I wanted to say something just briefly. I also want to hear their why them, why like Mary or why Sue, they want to change the world, but why? Is it something that happened in their lives, or is it something that normally has to come through? Because it's all of us here in these 68 or so women want to change the world, but why? So normally you have to bring in either I saw firsthand what domestic violence did to me or to my sister or to my mother, or I saw firsthand what girls without education, because I didn't go to school until I was 10. That like one sentence ties in why you really want to. Yeah.
Can I clarify? Mashuru,
okay, is that Mashuru? We need to be able to see you, my darling.
Oh,
please
sorry.
turn on your
Sorry.
Okay.
I would like to give girls a voice, especially in male-dominated industries. My reason being, no one prepared me for the mining industry at all. I found myself crying in the middle of a meeting because I felt like I was being attacked. But no one actually prepared me for that. No one told me what to do, how to react, how to feel in such a situation. And I would like to be that person who prepares the young girls who are actually preparing themselves to go to those very male-dominated industries like mining.
Thank you so much. I think Ellen, she's answered it. She's shown us, exactly what it means, the why behind the what. That you cried. I mean, you were able to share that little bit of your story with us. So thank you so much for doing that beautifully. As I wrap up, a couple of tips about this point. So thank you so much for the people who have participated. There's a danger in this session to get too caught up in the role play. So typically we don't have a speaker. We do a lot of, we do skits, we do interviews, and we ask people to speak at the end. Now, the speaking at the end sometimes gets compressed because we lose a lot of time in the role play. When you run this session, please remember to balance. The role play helps open it up for discussion. Then you go into the circles. When you come back, we want to hear from the girls because we've encouraged them to become courageous leaders, and they're beginning to have an idea of how to do it. And so we need to give them that opportunity to voice. And not to let it be dominated by the mentors. At this point, even mentors are putting up their hands to come and give a speech. So as you end the art of communication, you've built them up so much. Please do not forget to allow the girls to give a speech and to also give tips as to how to do it. I'm not able to do it now, but the regular, the breathing, the confident pauses and things like that. My last tip is that when you're teaching the art of communication, it starts off with the listening. What Stella talked about under building trust, it follows through. And in the art of communication, we always talk about the fact that you start off by listening and knowing your audience. You cannot know your audience without first investing that time in knowing them. If you as mentors do not exhibit those skills and model the skills of listening, you've lost the entire session. So the girls are watching you during the art of communication. Don't just be talking. It is important that you model the behaviors of listening and that you're able to appreciate what they're saying. Thank you so much. I know time has been short, but looking forward to seeing all of you guys later. And keep your questions coming in the chat box, because even if we don't cover them now, we can always do a frequently asked questions page and share it out with you. Asante sana.
Asante, Kona. My why is that I really, really am grateful to God for the sunshine, for the beautiful people I live with and have a number of people to grow up with. And so there's always music in my heart. Ladies, it is 1:06 and this session was supposed to end at 1:06. So being the typical British trained people we're going to close this session now. And thank you very much for attending it. Unless, of course, you raise your hands in the chat bar and allow us to continue with you for an additional 30 minutes. We have 3 sessions to cover and we will be taking them one at a time. I can see the hands coming up. Please keep them coming. Put up your hand and let me see if you want us to stay on this call, this chat, and finish the 3 sessions. Thank you so much. Please keep them coming up. Thank you. That is some exercise for your fingers. And I will ask Annette to prepare to take the next session because I think the lady is still want to stay on the chat. And we apologize that we have pushed the meeting. And in case you really have to leave this exciting space, we are recording the session, and your country team will be able to support you to receive this content and then also go deeper into it. And it might seem to be a rush. What we're hoping to leave you with are nuggets, and in your country teams, you're going to dig deep. I know you have experienced trainers. You will have further discussions around this. So I'm handing over to Annette from Nairobi, and I'm going to ask her to come on, and she's going to take us through negotiation, a build up from building trust, courageous leadership, and art of communication. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana, for that. Thank you to all the previous facilitators. You've done a fantastic job. And I'll just follow on from there. As we can see, time has been cut short. But the art of negotiation is the fourth session. The changing of screens is distracting me. If I could just have the faces of the people, it would be easier for me. Please, let's just, Patricia, yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's better for me. So the art of negotiation is the fourth session after, building up from the previous three sessions, and it's connected. It actually brings together all the three sessions. The skills we use in negotiation are the skills that we will carry from courageous leadership, building trust, and from communication. Sometimes people think negotiation is very technical, but we want us to look at it in such a way that we are negotiating all the time in our lives, in our homes, with our siblings, with our parents. Yes, you have the big negotiations in the offices, in the boardroom, but in our day-to-day lives, from the time you wake up, you're negotiating with somebody. If you're going into a taxi, you're going to negotiate for the fare. You're going to negotiate in the shop. So negotiation is something that's with us that we can practice on a day-to-day basis. And basically the objective is for this session is for us, once we have known what is my mission, what do I want to do, and then we have learned how to communicate. But now, what is the next step forward? How do I advocate for myself? How do I advocate for that which I feel painful to others? And then how do I advocate for others? So it's we take it to the next step to be able to advocate now for others and to communicate with others. So in the video, we have Professor Hong, who gives us very, very simple principles of the U principle. She has really simplified it, that it's very easy for us to adapt it depending on where you are. So the U principle is the Y, O, and U. I had one slide that was showing the U principle, but if you have the book, you can also follow from there. So Y is yourself. The O is for others. Patricia, I had one slide on the U. I would like people to have a look at the U as we talk about the U principle. And the U, Y-O-U, U is for understanding. So, like I said, we're drawing skills from the previous session. The Y is yourself. In courageous leadership, we spend a lot of time understanding ourselves. Find your mission, find your purpose. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Because when you understand yourself, it puts you in a better position when you get to negotiate, because you understand yourself better. So the courageous leadership session helps us deal with ourselves, understand ourselves, and find our strength. And once you know yourself and your strength and your mission, then it gives you more confidence. And with more confidence, you're able to negotiate better. Many times we don't usually know what our strengths are, or we don't know what our weaknesses are. It's rare that you're only lucky if people give you that feedback. And so during the understanding yourself, we take time during our sessions to try and highlight people's strengths. And I wanted to quickly take a for us to quickly get to our phones and find our WhatsApp group or some friends and send them a message to ask them, what are your strengths? I want us to take a minute to just go get onto our phones and try and send out to a group. You can choose whichever group you want and ask them, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Maybe ask them for 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses. So let's take a minute to do that.
So you ask about your strengths.
You as a person, get onto your phone and ask people or friends, it will be your choice of group, to give you feedback on yourself. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? That is just an exercise to help us know, do we know ourselves? Do we know, have we gotten feedback from others, what they feel about us? So maybe towards the end, you go back and see what people have to say about you. And that is one way, that's one method we can use in finding us better about ourselves. But also as we are running these sessions during the circles, we get time to shine a spotlight on somebody and ask them to tell us what their strengths are. And then we try and give feedback during the circles in this session in terms of what you think about the strengths she's talking about. So it's a good thing to continue doing, a good practice to continue doing to find out better, more about yourself. Okay, so once you have done the why yourself, then now you need to understand others for you to be in a better negotiating position. Who are those? You need to be able to identify who are those who can help you activate your goals. What are their objectives and needs? You need to understand what are their needs, what are their objectives, why are they in this negotiation, and you need to build trust with them. We like to share an example of when we were at Salama Gashie during this negotiation session. We had a circle where 2 of the girls were at loggerheads with each other, and 2 of the girls had two groups of children following them. So the school had been cut into 2. One of the girls was a prefect that was who was in charge of the toilet roll, because they have to maximize the use of the toilet roll. So the prefect is meant to give out 1 piece or 2 pieces to everybody who's going to the bathroom. And then this other girl, for that particular day, she needed more than 1 piece or 2 pieces of the toilet paper. So by the time we came into this negotiation session, the girls were having a big fight because this prefect is only she's doing her job, 1 piece of tissue, 2 pieces of tissue. And meanwhile, the girl on this other side, for that particular day, she needs more. For whatever reason, she needs more than that. So we were able to now go into a negotiation, ask the prefect, did you find out why she wanted more? Did you understand her side? So in terms of the others, it puts us in a better position when you have done your research about the other position, know what their objectives are, know what they want, and then you're better able to deal with them. And then finally on the U in understanding is, just like I've touched on it on others, you have to be able to understand the other side. And to be able to understand the other side, you have to bring in the principles that now Rita has just taken us through in terms of communication. You've got to have empathy, you've got to show empathy, you've got to listen. How are their goals? How are you going to align yourself to their goals? And you need to show that you understand, probably rephrase what they have asked you and say, in my view, this is how I understand it. Phrase the statement so that you come to an understanding. And then, of course, when you're negotiating, you need to continuously engage the other side. And the more you continuously engage on the other side, is the better, the more you understand them. So basically, the main principle in negotiation is the U principle that Professor Hong takes us through. And during before the session, of course, you'd watch her video. She has a lot of key points and stresses quite a bit of things. So in summary, the main thing on negotiation is it has been simplified for us, and we follow the U principle. So there is also what we call the abundance mentality here in G4G. And I wanted us to break out briefly for 5 minutes in sessions. There's a practical session that we normally carry out, whereby you have an orange that you need to share amongst yourselves. So I'll ask Patricia to break us out for
Annette,
5 minutes.
what we're going to do, we're going to listen to the 2 speakers after you, and then we break out, because then I think we can do what we, Alan and Rita and Marianne and Stella, what we do, the wrap up in there, and then we can close it off there. But you can give us that.
That's fine, Diana. We shall do the session, but the session was more about telling us that there are always different paths in a negotiation. There are always many different options, and once you listen and allow each other to say out what they want, then you're able to get different solutions for one single problem. But I just want to close by just highlighting some of those techniques there that we follow as G4G. You need to aim for a win-win situation. Do not fear to ask. Always ask. Seek to understand the other side. Be empathetic. Listen. Build trust during your negotiation. Make the person you're negotiating with trust you. Then think outside the box. And then lastly, sometimes we might not win on the onset, but you might negotiate in bits and then look at the bigger picture, and in the end, you'll be able to get a win-win situation. Thank you. I have to stop there and hand it over to the next speaker.
Thank you so much, Annette. Flowers to you. Annette is a financial expert, and now she's a mentor, and she's always talking. So she's had a 360 degrees turn, and it's amazing to see you. And the next speaker is a lady from Kenya. Angela, I can't wait to meet you. And she's going to talk to us about running for office. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diane. So the next session that follows the past 4 sessions is where I say the rubber meets the road, and this is about public service and running for office. And one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is to, as I go through it, I want you to think about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about running for office? 10 being confident, very confident, 5 being somewhat confident, and 1 being, there's no way I can do this. Yeah, so you're not confident at all. And I'll take you through in terms of, I'll just break it out into the objectives of the session, the principles that we apply, the way we learn, and also some of the things that we need to be aware of. And earlier in the session, you remember Alan talking about Girls for Girls being about empowering women and girls to lead. And this session aims to empower our mentees to be able to have a vision to grow in leadership so that they're able to serve, they're able to give back, and also they're able to identify, where can I be a leader? So we've equipped them with all these skills about courageous leadership, about communicating, about negotiating. So now how can they apply them to be able to go into office? And I'll speak to what office means in a minute. And really, as they do that, how are they championing the causes of women? Yeah, taking that agenda forward, and whilst remaining true to their leadership journeys. And when we speak about public service and office, sometimes we hear public service, and public service can be serving in government, it can be serving in an NGO, but serving in office, we have to apply it to the context of the mentees that we are working with. So for instance, if it is a school, like we did with Salama Gashie, running for office could mean running for a head girl position. It could mean running for a prefect position. If it is university students, it could be running to be on the student council, yeah, representing women on the student council. If it is in corporate, in organizations, it could be running for a senior management position. If it is more senior level, executive level, it could be running for a board position. Also, take it out of the context of organizations in our community. It could be you are a parent in a school. You could serve on the board of the PTA. Yeah, so again, that is an example of running for office. So we can apply it to different contexts. And here, this is where I always say, you know, when you're running for public office or when you're running for office, one of the things that we need to say as women is that if you're not seated on the table, you're on the menu. And if you're on the menu, people are going to have you for breakfast. And we don't want to be had for breakfast, do we? Or lunch or dinner, for that matter.
No.
Yeah?
No.
We want on the table. We want to be seen, heard, acknowledged, yeah, and respected. So in this session, the way we run it as a mentor is to, first of all, impart the fact that one of the things that we need to do to have an impact in those areas is we have to have some form of influence, some form of power that we are bringing to that table. And power does not mean that I am aggressive, that I am loud. It means, what am I bringing to the table? What skills, what influence, it could be soft influence, it could be hard influence. There are different ways of doing it. And a key question here that we look at is, how do I step up? Yeah. So I have all these skills, I have this experience. How do I step up? How do I show up? How do I serve and shift policy and thinking and decisions? And that is one of the things that we try to tell the girls is there are different ways of doing that. And in this session, we do watch a video, by the way, by Professor Steve Jardine. And one of the things that comes out is that you don't have to change who you are to be able to run for office. It is the authenticity in you that allows you to be able to step up, show up, and serve in that position. So another thing is that to keep in mind that as we are imparting these principles, is that we are using the Girls for Girls skills to further the agenda of women. Yeah, so it is not a selfish application. It is an application of what we have learned to be able to benefit others. So we're using that office to be able to serve and benefit others. And a lot of the times in this session, what we try to tell the girls is, don't be afraid of stepping up. Because a lot of the times, you know, people say, or we say as women, I'm not good enough. I have to change the way I am so that I can serve in this role. You know, I'm not sure that people will understand what I'm trying to say. But I always say, how will they know unless you tell them? Yeah? We have to take a proactive approach. We have to take a proactive approach rather than expecting to be noticed. And the way we take that proactive approach is by using those skills that we have learned through the other sessions in the Girls for Girls program. And I'll just give you an example of a situation I was in about a year ago. So having worked, experience, etc., I was like, oh, I thought I need to serve on a board. But how am I going to get onto a board? Yeah, because people get approached to serve on boards. And of course, no one was approaching me. So I was like, okay, how do I get to serve on a board? And which board do I pick? And so I realized what I need to do is I need to start telling people what I do, why I do it, and the impact that I want what I do to have on other people. And eventually I was called on to serve on a board. And this board, and this is where running for public office becomes very important in terms of the skills we learn. This board is largely male. Everybody on the board is older than me, so we're about 10 of us. Largely Caucasian, and there was only one other woman on the board. So one, I was the youngest, and two, I was, a young woman. So I started to think, so what am I going to take to the table? And as I considered accepting the role, I said, you know what? This is the time to start influencing change. This is the time to be able to bring to the table what we as women can do in terms of shifting strategy, shifting thinking in organizations, and getting people to understand that you don't have to be a certain age to be on a board. It is what you bring to the table. So so as we impart these skills and as we run this session, these are some of the things that we essentially draw on in terms of not, I don't want to use the word teaching, but just equipping the girls and the women. And the way we learn is, earlier some of the facilitators have said that you can bring in a guest speaker, and sometimes we do invite a guest speaker. But when we are doing the running for public office or running for office, we do use a lot of role play. And role play could present itself in the form of, I'm interviewing, get a mentee and a mentor to do a mock interview for running for a position on a board, for running for a position in senior management, for recruiting for a community project, whatever it might be. Because within role play, you tend to see a lot of lessons that are learned. And those lessons relate to communication, relate to negotiation, and also relate to the aspect of building trust. And I think one of the things that we also tend to do is when we're aiming in this session for the mentees to be able to leave knowing that they can actively seek a role. Yeah, so maybe they've been thinking about a role or thinking about doing something, but taking on the next step in terms of how do I do this? And there are different ways they can do this. And on one of the circles we are in, Tenacious Eagles, a lot of the girls are looking for jobs. And we kept saying, okay, so what have you been doing about it? Oh, I just go on the internet and I check. Who have you told that you're looking for a job? Are you actively seeking that role? And as a result of that, we asked them, what action are you going to take? And after that, they started saying, okay, now we're going to use our village. I'm going to send my CV to so and so. They even started drawing on the mentors within our circle and calling them and saying, can I send you my CV? This is what I want to do. This is where I want to do it. Can you help me? Yeah, and that is really identifying how they can serve, a way of identifying how they can serve in office. So one of the things to be aware of is that we shouldn't make it sound political, because running for office, like I said, it's not about the political side. It is about running for office in different capacities. So really getting the mentees to understand that. And then finally, I always like to leave with a call to action or with a quote. We always say when you're running for office is to remember that you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. And so there is no reason why we can't get that corner office, whether that corner office is in a building, is in our community, is in our family setting. There are various ways that we can run for office. And this session allows you to be able to explore the different ways that we can do that. So I think that.
Thank you so much, Angie. Thank you so much, Angie. That's amazing. I'm seated in the corner office in my home, and I'm saying to myself, I must own it more and manage the people who are invading it and get them to exit. Thank you so much. And it's always interesting to listen to a new voice talk about something, and your examples were really, really reflective. It's a long time since I walked up to somebody and I said, I need this from you. And there are spaces that I'm trying to get into. And of course, I have an amazing network that I can tap into. So my action, since you said you're going to give us a call to action, is this week to make a specific ask to an introduction to the spaces I want to get into. Thank you. So ladies, we are the last on the end, soon close. And I'm noting the time, it's 1:30. I promise we will be done by 2. The amazing lady who's coming to speak, like most of you, has a background of having traveled the globe and studied in different parts of the world, like Rita and, many of you. So I'd like us to welcome Marianne and tune in, because she has an amazing perspective on a lot of the things, and she's covering an important topic, which is ethics and values in decision making. Marianne.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Miriam.
A big hi to you.
So let's get straight into it. We're now running a circle and we have a mentee. Her name is Stella Kivila and she has a dilemma. So hi Stella, what's up?
Hi Marianne, I'm good. How are you doing?
Always good to see you.
Well, I have exciting news. I have great news. You remember I've been jobless for like 3 years now? Yeah, so I finally got a job with one of these top professional firms. And yeah, I am very excited. They gave me the contract, but before I signed, this guy came, you know, one of the guys in HR came to me and said, before I sign on the dotted line, imagine I have to have a deal with him. And the issue is, okay, so the gross, they're willing to pay me $2,000 gross pay, but then he wants $500 every single month for the next 2 years, if at all he's going to give me the contract. Imagine that.
Stella,
so
congratulations.
I'm just wondering, oh my goodness, my son can finally go to school. And then I'm just wondering, what should I do? What should I do? Marianne, what do you think? What do you think?
Stella, first of all, congratulations on landing that interview. In session 1, I remember you talked about applying for this job. You've done it. But how do you feel about this decision?
Marianne, I mean, 3 years being a single mother. My son has had to sit down. The father is not in my life anymore. You know my situation. Finally, this is how much? $2,000. I've had zero, quite honestly. So if the guy wants $500, I'll remain with $1,500. That will put food on the table. But then I'm just thinking, who does that? Who pays somebody for work that they have done? Quite honestly, like what has the world come to? This is real life corruption. And you know, I've been raised in church, you know, so I'm at that, I'm really deflated. And time is ticking. I need to make to get back to him on Monday. So the risk is he's not gonna give me the contract and I go back to the jobless community. What should I do? I don't know.
Wow, Stella, that really is a dilemma. So I'm going to throw it out to Africa. I'm going to call on 3 people. Just quickly, what would you do? Africa, we need your help, mentors. Melanie in Uganda, what would you do? Melanie Kagoya, Uganda. What should Stella do? Okay, valuable Valerie in South Africa. We have a hot potato in the circle.
Congratulations on your incredible achievement in getting the job. I'm so proud of you. Well done. But I think what you have to think about is, if this was one of your children or one of your daughters, would you want them to be put into the situation where they accepted that situation? What I would consider if I was you, I would just contact the HR people and maybe just talk to them about whether this is the standard practice of the organization. Because you know what, the way you've been brought up and things like that, is this something that you would think was okay to do? And I think if this is the standard practice within an organization, is this really an organization that you want to work for going forward? There are so many things to think about when you are in survival mode, I know, but sometimes one just has to think about, how will this reflect on me in a few years' time? What will people think about me if I do this, or if I carry on in this way? I know it's a really, really tough decision. I can't make it for you, or you can make it for yourself, but you need to think about how this will affect you in the future in terms of how people perceive you and how your children perceive you, and if this is somewhere you really want to go forward.
Okay. Thank you, Valerie. That's helpful. Edith, I see you put up your hand. I'll take one more view from Edith. And the rest, if you have a view, what should Stella do? Please put it in the chat box.
Thank you very much. And Stella, I really congratulate you on getting your job. This is a real example of the challenges that professionals face in the life situation. My recommendation is that you look at that company's ethics, and they should have a policy. And then now, when you look at that policy, you highlight the issues and the gaps that have triggered this recommendation that the person is asking you to do. And then you ask for your report whether you are actually the best candidate for the job, because what is the trigger? If you are not the best candidate for the job, then why is he giving you this offer? Because remember, if you start working in a job and you already have set a precedent, you will never have confidence in that job, because there is one underlying fear that you have, that if you do not comply to one small thing, then someone can expose you or can do anything. I know this happens in many institutions, but this is a time as a woman and as a courageous person to exercise the qualities and skills that you have learned. Maybe with time it will expose him, but I know when guys go into that situation, they put the cards on the table and they say, no, this is not how you're supposed to do it. And I've seen them, they are ruthless. So I think that's what you should do, and then the person will respect you.
Edith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edith. So as we see, this is a sticky situation, and to be honest, session 5, Angela told you to run for office. So here you are in reality, you have put your hand up, you have run for office. And the daily bread of a leader is making decisions. And sometimes decisions are not always black and white. There's gray. And as you can see, Stella is in a gray area, but it's also, it presents some moral dilemmas. Edith may do one thing, Valerie may do another. So what we want to do in this session is to equip Stella to make the right decisions for her, the best decision that she can live with, because you will not always be there as a mentor. And G4G is about equipping, giving her a framework. We're all in lockdown at the moment. All of your presidents are having to make decisions on whether to keep you in lockdown or to let you get out and start working. That's a moral dilemma. So session 6 gives a framework that brings in values. What are your values as a leader? You as the mentee, do you have values? What are your non-negotiables? Where do you draw the line, right? One man's meat may not be yours. It could be that you as a person, you have Christian values, but the other person may feel, to be honest, I will do it this way. So the framework that we want to leave our mentees with is, first, you understand the issue. The issue here is corruption, as you may call it. She has to pay a cut. There is a bribe. So understand the issue at a personal level. What are my values at a personal level in this situation? Okay, I'm a Christian. I have to live by truth. So it doesn't work with my values. Next step, as an organization, what is their values as an organization? And as Edith is saying, they could have as a core value integrity. Okay, so then the next step is I look at this issue at a societal level. I live in Uganda. Is it okay in Uganda ethically to pay a bribe? Or is it that I'll have to go to prison, right? So let me understand the issue at that level. And the next step is, what are my options? It's important that we impart to our mentees that they have options. You never have to feel like you're up against a wall. I have to sell my soul. We know many of us, as we go up the career ladder, you know, we come in with ethical principles, and by the time we look at us many years later, we've signed off so many different things. We've lost ourselves in the leadership role. So examine the options in light of this decision. Option 1, she pays the $500, but it doesn't align with her values as a Christian. Option 2, she could look for another job. Option 3, she negotiates with the HR and says, okay, I won't pay 500, I'll pay 100. So what are the options available to me? Then the next step is, okay, if those options are in front of me, what are the outcomes? what is success at this point? Success could be I pay the bribe and I get the job. Dreams come true, my son goes back to school. But what if I don't take the job? For another year, we have to sit with no school fees, right? So what are the options of, what are the eventual outcomes in this scenario? And then I take action. Let's not get stuck. You know, life is a journey. I take the action and I move forward. What I strongly hear is that we're giving our mentees a framework because you will not always be there. We want to equip, right? Another key point here is that as a mentor in this circle, you may want to take over and become that mother, right? And impose your personal values. No. We're going to take, I'm the chair of the HR association. Let's go, let's do this. I go. And then, you know, you haven't given her the opportunity to think through her options, to think about her own values. You've imposed your values. How can this happen? Yeah. I'm a lawyer, let's go. And then she will always have to come to you and say, okay, mentor, now something else has happened, right? So let's equip. The second part is that in the circles, you may be perhaps in a university, and you may see that there is a mentor's opinions and a mentee's opinions, and there's a generational divide. What would you do? So let's keep it open and empathetic. We want this person to make the best decision based on their values for them. It's not a generational divide thing, okay? So as I end, I'm saying that we have a decision-making framework in the handbook. Decisions are hard, but they're not black and white. Sometimes they present a moral dilemma, but we want to equip this mentee as she runs in that office so she doesn't lose her soul. So she doesn't just, you know, you think, what happened, right? We want to see that she has a strong set of values. So the call to action is that your mentees write their values. You know, not your values, but they start to examine what are my values as a person, okay? Our mission, G4G, I will reiterate, is that we equip our mentees with the skills, right, to be able to take on leadership and lead change. And Stella had mentioned earlier that mentor one-on-one. It's not that you become the preacher, no, this is what I'll do, life is hard, no. How can that mentee be able to feel confident in the decision that they make, that it stands within their ethical principles and on their strong value set? Okay, thank you very much for giving me the platform, Marianne in Uganda. I received flowers. Thank you.
Hello, back from the land of ethical dilemmas, which we all face. Ladies, thank you so much for staying with us. Marianne, thank you so much. I love the makeup and coming for tips. And I want to thank all the presenters, starting with Alan and Florence and Stella and Rita and Annette and Angela. And I want to thank all the support team who have made this event possible. Patricia in Uganda, flowers to you and a big hug. Rita, I know there are special people in South Africa. Annette, I know you have an amazing team and they've been able to rally together and make this training happen. So I thank you. I just have one ask for you to post in the chat bar what your takeaway has been for this session. And after that, you put up your hand. You put up your hand. Remember how to put up your hand? So you post your takeaway, and then you put up your hand, and the first person from each country will get a prize. But let's all do that in this 1 second. And after that, we shall have Alan do a wrap up for us. So now we're all typing into the chat bar our takeaway from this session, okay? So ready, steady, go. Marianne, I'm waiting for your takeaway. I'm writing a whole essay. Ariane, how is the chat bar doing? Is everyone's hand up? Okay, I'm putting up my hand. Tick. Wow, great.
Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome. I think the connection in, okay. I think the connection in South Africa is faster. People are putting up their hand faster from South Africa. Uganda's connection seems to be great as well. Okay, thank you. Alan, I'm waiting for your takeaway. Angela, Marianne, put up your hand after you do your takeaway, if you have done your takeaway. Stella, are you an English major? Some?
I have done my takeaway.
Wonderful. And you've put up your hand? Put up your hand if you've done your takeaway, please. That way we'll know who hasn't done their takeaway. Okay, Margaret, are you still taking away? Margaret Lubwama. Okay, so Alan, as you prepare to come and share with us from your heart, I want to thank you again for starting this and getting us fired up. So Alan, ladies, I'll be watching the chat bar, and Alan, please come and just take us through. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. Flowers and mwah, mwah, hugs from this sunny part of the world, Uganda. Alan.
Thank you so much, Dan, and a big thank you to you for moderating, and thank you all you amazing ladies for staying on. We still have over 50 women online. We had 70 through the session. I'm amazed at the power and energy that we can unleash. Can you imagine if each of you reached 10 girls? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing? You can nod, yeah? It would be an amazing thing for us to reach our continent and our world just by holding another sister's hand. We've done a marathon session. Normally we train and it's in practice, and we train and do it at times over a day, over half a day. But we hope that you've gotten the nuggets. It doesn't stop here. You may be asking, what next? We have so many women here, like Maggie has started with the medical students. We have Melanie who would have listened to. There are so many of you who have participated in training. What I want to show you is that this village is there to support and hold your hand. The main thing is for you to go and say, okay, where do I want to try? We all learned by doing. I came from Harvard and asked for 5 friends, and 5 women came with me, and we went together to Jessica's school. And now it has grown to over 500 women around the globe who are in this powerful network. So don't think, oh my God, how do I start? Where do I start? The women from Uganda, the leaders from Uganda, South Africa, and Kenya have shown you the ongoing mentor cohorts. Reach out to them so they can either put you on those cohorts so that you just observe. You can just sit in on one session and observe how the actual circle is working. That's one way. But if you feel confident, some of you have come for training 2 times, 3 times. If you feel confident, you can reach out to, again, any of us and through Patricia to support you to start a circle. You can even start small in this lockdown. You can start with the women in your home just to gain practice and to go through the modules, because practice makes perfect. All of us started, as Stella said, I dragged her, she came with me, and now Stella is even, I think, she mentors more. She has mentored over, I don't know how many cohorts. Diana as well. Diana, you see, never used to speak. Diana could not speak in public. Now she's the most proficient speaker. You can't keep her quiet, you know. So these modules work. These modules have changed our lives. These modules impact the mentors even more than the mentees, I must say. I must confess. Because you are at an age where by the time you've gotten up on a Saturday, you've come here, you're thirsting. You want to make a difference. These modules, if you practice them, if you use them, they will impact your life. We have seen our lives change. Every time I listen to people's stories, I'm impacted. So please go back to the notes you got and start reading through, and we are happy to take you through. But the only way you can learn and you can actually take it further is to actually step out of your comfort zone and hold a sister's hand. And we are happy to walk that journey with you. Now, people will ask, what commitment is it for me? People don't want to be in for too long because you don't want to tie yourself. That's why we make it a dedicated 6-module session. So the 6 modules can be done in 6 months maximum. Though for schools, it normally runs. So once a month on a Saturday, You choose the times that work for you on a Saturday or on a specific day of the week. Most people prefer Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon, or whichever day works. But there are some like South Africa who are piloting having 2 sessions in a day. And I know in Uganda, they have had a module where they worked with human resource managers and heads of human resources in various organizations in the country. And they took them through a marathon of 2 sessions per day. So they could, over 2 months, so they could then go and become now mentors and start sessions in their organizations. You can do it in any way that fits you, but please do not become a tourist mentor. Do not put it on your CV that you're a Girls for Girls mentor, and then you just appear once and then you run away. As Stella said, the girls trust you to be with them. They trust us. These young girls, 15 to 25, 25 to 35, they open up. I'm telling you, those circles, when you open up the circles, it's amazing the outpouring of emotion and feeling, and the girls want to share, because no one, think of the young women in your lives, no one is listening to these girls. No one. Trust me. Our young daughters, we are always telling them, have you done your work? Have you studied? Clean the house? Do this? When do we sit down to actually talk in a professional sense about your dreams, your purpose, and where you want to go? And sisters, as we always say in Girls for Girls, there is reverse mentoring. Every time you listen to these girls' dreams and ambitions, and we remember our own dreams, and it has helped so many mentors to actually move jobs. We have mentors who have now moved across the globe to Switzerland, to South Sudan, to wherever, because they have taken the courage to step out of their comfort zone. It jolts you. So thank you so much. I could go on and on. For me, it's a passion, it's a dream, and I'm so happy that you've joined this dream. I'm so amazed at the women we work with, the ladies in the different country leads. All these ladies are not paid. That's another issue I need to address. We don't pay salaries for mentors. It's your passion. In fact, our criteria for mentors, we say, what brings us together is the passion to make a difference, to empower women. So we come together to make that difference through the best way we can, telling our stories. Of course, there are some costs involved, so we ask you to keep the costs at a very basic minimum. As much as possible, don't incur so many costs, but we also try to see how we can fundraise. But it's amazing that on our own, we have done a movement that is almost now reaching 2,000 girls, and it's global. We have not had funding from people, except in Niger, where UNICEF now wants to see how they can use this model to reach 30,000 girls who are out of school. So they have given us $50,000 to start, to take forward the work there. So UNICEF may adopt this as a global platform for girls who are maybe out of school and need to be equipped. It's a powerful module, but I really think experience it and you'll tell us the story yourselves. Thank you so much. We'll find a way to continue the stories. I would have wanted you to listen to Maggie, who just stepped out, and after one training, she started her cohort with the young women in the medical students in Mulago.
We have 5 minutes to the top of the hour.
We have 5? Maggie, you can just talk very briefly, 2 minutes, if you're still on, what it has meant for you to touch those young students, 4th year students, 5th year, 3rd year students at medical school. Very briefly, 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really a challenge for me, but I realized from where I came from in terms of just going through medical school, not having this support in terms of reaching out for your goals, reaching out for your dreams. And I saw that many of the students were struggling and they needed somebody to talk to them, and they were not getting that from home, they were not getting that from school. And they would come to me little by little and share their dreams and share their challenges. And I told myself that I really need to do something. I was mentoring few at a time, but the need was so big. I needed help from as many people that I could get help from. And so that's when I talked to Catherine Namara. She was my classmate in secondary school at Namagunga. And I knew she was doing a mentorship thing. And I told her, Kathy, I need that for my students. And so she's the one who recommended the mentorship training. And once I got the training, I went to the principal and I told him, look, this is an opportunity for the girls at the College of Health Sciences, and it is going to just become an avalanche. And he was so excited about it, and he gave me the permission, and that's where we went. That's that's how it started. I'm really excited about this because the testimonies that I've gotten from the students, and not only from the female students, but also the male students, are telling that they feel the impact that the female students have created in the classrooms. And they're like, we also want this. And I'm like, maybe some other time, but it's really been great. I must say, go for it. Just do it afraid. Just dive into it. And I've learned, as Alan has said, I've learned from the students, and they're learning from me. We're learning from the mentors. It has opened up different connections, and it's really been great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I'm in awe of your courage. I'm really in awe. We give flowers in Girls for Girls. We shower people with flowers. We love giving visibility to people because we don't get so much affirmation. So we love giving each other affirmation. So congratulations to you, Maggie. Your girls, I came in and I cried. We now need to hear, I don't know if Melanie is in. She's been one of our mentees from the Makerere University Business School. And there we have seen girls running for office. If she's on, she can speak. That is Marianne's cohort. The girls had so many questions. If she's not on, is she on? Yeah, Melanie, just 1 minute, just give your experience.
My experience was so good. I was able to meet different people like Marianne. I was able to meet Alan, and I've learned so many things from them. I was able to take part in leadership in my class as a group leader. It has been a wonderful experience for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melanie. Melanie could hardly speak at the beginning. Many of these girls are bright, brilliant, but their voices have been muzzled. And now seeing her speak so confidently, they can touch us and feel us because we are not Michelle Obama, we are not Beyonce, we are right here with them, and we can share our stories and we can empower these girls. I'm seeing Melanie as the future minister or leader because it starts now, but we are the ones who can make that change. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rita, Diana, Stella, Annette, Angela, Florence, Patricia, Marianne. Who have I left out? Anyone? And all your teams. I know your teams are all there supporting you. Thank you, ladies, for being with us. This is just the start of a journey. Please join in. We can give you all the information to get you started, and we will hold your hand. Be blessed.